All righty, here we are,
Hello, guys.
live from wherever, live from everywhere. Um, thank all of you for joining us, and we'll do our hellos for everyone on the panel that was nice enough to free up some time and join us tonight. We'll start with Gustavo and then move left to right on the screen and let everybody just say what you've been up to. And we know what Gustavo's been up to. It's called No Good, but we'll let him talk anyway. But go ahead.
Hey, you guys gonna keep me working here for the presentation for this week. So, no, it's welcome to our what I call the general meeting of our photo lounge live. Uh, and we got a pack agenda for today. We more than we actually expected. So we later on after we finish here with the general introduction of the panelists, we go through the agenda. But no, I have been doing my regular bird photography and of course I'm not talking to the presentation today. So that's me.
All right, good. All right, I'm Chuck
Our mate.
because I'm told my speech therapist is I speak heavy. Gosh. Well, anyway, well, today the only thing we're doing today was mow the grass. So
Oh, okay.
it was a big deal for me, and I'm wearing making out. I don't know. I'm only going to be here an hour, maybe a little more. But yeah,
You got to
try.
do the rain in between the lawn in between the raindrops.
Yeah,
So, Chuck, the question for you is that when you come and be an hour, did you put yourself through the pain of watching the rest of the show afterwards or not?
yes, try. Yes,
We'll apologize ahead of time.
Exactly.
And well, you guys kind of sort of know who I am, pain in the neck, and haven't had an opportunity to do much picture taking between doctor's appointments, illnesses, and bad weather. I mean, I think this week will be the first time I'll be able to get out a few days in quite a long time. So I look forward to slightly cooler temperatures, a little bit less humidity. Get out there and see what's out there to get as well. So, but we will have a little bit of a surprise sharing of stuff early on in the show from an individual who was a special part of our photo collection of photo nerds here that gather twice a month that I haven't heard from in a long time. Gave me a call, had a pleasant conversation, and I'll share who that person is shortly and show them some pictures that he sent me. And I think we're going to have a lot to go over with the show. And Gustavo put together a great presentation with help from Luis and other people that sent in hummingbird shots. So we have something to look forward to in the second half of the show. Mr. Bixby.
I'm not here. I'm just an AI version. Next.
Oh. Hello. Nothing for me either. I haven't been out. Haven't done anything. Just try to keep up a little bit with my photographs. Clean her up, and you know how it's going.
The fun editing process.
Yeah, culling probably
Culling.
most of the time, and that's the worst. Oh no, and I get from
Yeah, maybe, no.
Yep. Many years of maybe.
Many years of maybe.
Next.
Randall.
I've been busy as always, making videos, taking a lot of photographs, taking care of a puppy who's chewing up the house, but same old thing.
No, the dog is still alive 1 week later, so I guess that's a positive. He didn't chew you up, and you haven't shot him yet, so that's good.
Yeah, I have to add one more job besides mowing the grass. Poop control.
Oh yeah, poop patrol.
Yeah.
All right, so let's so this is our official start of the show here. So let's go now officially through the agenda. So this is what we have for today, August 16, 2025. So we already went through the welcome to the live stream by the panelists. Please keep an eye on the chat and see who is coming into the chat, and so we can have a chance to welcome them, Jeff. And so we start with the usual warm up session with news and rumor. Then we have a special presentation from Mr. Jeff Neville on his secret friend. Plus, he was talk about some photo gear vintage. He got some uh, new babies to take care of, and then we have our feature presentation for today, which about hummingbird photography part two. Again, with a lot of help from Luis on the back end with a lot of pieces. So we prepare to see a lot of stunning pictures from Luis. Okay. Then um, I got a couple of photos on the photo sharing. I guess so. Jeff is going to do a little bit of photo sharing from our live community as well in his segment. Okay, and then we will talk as usual about future topics and presentation, uh, which are coming. The image review, which is approaching on September 6th, and our upcoming general meetings, including the one on September the 20th. So that's what we have for today. So I think we will probably start the feature presentation around an hour. So we're going to first go through some of the news and rumor, and I'm going to go to one slide here, going to left talk, and then I'm going to complement some of the stuff that he's talking about. I'm going to put the chat as well here so they can watch it.
Okay, and I just want to welcome everybody quickly in the chat. We got obviously our panel members. Bob Our Photos is here. Bob Rosato from Connecticut. We've got Robert Varner, Mozman's here.
Hey,
Art Bear, we got Ted. Art Bear, good to see you. We'll have to have a phone call one of these days soon. Randall, obviously here. We got Long Rider. Nice to see you here, my friend. It's been a long time. And so we've got, a handful here. Hopefully we get some more people, but I'll start off quick with just some general news. One thing I found interesting, if over the years, for many years, and Chuck could attest to this, we would always have a lot of people in the chat, or one time had a lot of people in the chat would say, well, what do I got to do to be a good wedding photographer? Or what do I got to do to be a good portrait photographer? Well, if you're serious about portrait photography and wedding photography, Nikon is offering live in-person portrait workshops with two of the best, Joe McNally and Jerry Guionis, together for full day class where they do demonstrations and you actually get hands-on and you get to take pictures of the models and stuff like that using techniques and lighting setups that Jerry and Joe talk about in the early part of the course. They're having it at 4 locations, all in September: New Jersey on the 18th, Pennsylvania on the 21st, Illinois on the 24th, and Michigan on the 27th. The cost is $1,200 per person. You can sign up with a $600 deposit. I'm not exactly sure when you got to pay the balance, but you can go on Nikon USA and get all that information. And so for people that are really serious and they want to take that next step, you can't ask for 2 better people to answer your questions and help you get to that next step. If I was more into doing portrait stuff, I'd go. I really would, but I don't have a lot of lighting gear. It isn't something that I I may have an interest in it, but it's just I can't afford to do every type of photography. So
You find out how much it is, and obviously you have to be close by.
yeah, you have to be close by. Now another, so I would check it out if you can. Now another thing that's come up, I first noticed it on my phone from CNN news feed regarding discussions in the media about Kodak possibly going out of business. I talked to Mozman Tim about this the other day, personal, call. And personally, my heart would be broken if Kodak goes out of business. I mean, it's like there's just certain American institutions, whether it be, Harley Davidson, Ford Motor Company, Kodak. If these businesses start to go away, it's like the soul of the country is going away, in my opinion. And there's different.
Jeff,
Yeah.
Kodak returned for the report and said, no, we will continue. No. The film, at least it will continue. They have a 500 million debt, but it is nothing for this kind of companies anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they came out and said that they're lacking the financing and liquidity to meet 500 million in debt obligations. So hopefully they get some banks that work with them and the people they owe money to work with them to resolve it. I mean, what's sad is supposedly the comments were that they're going to suspend payments to their retirement pension plan, which I think is horrible, obviously, for people that rely on a pension. But they have cautious optimism, and I think they will pull through. I mean, they have money. They do a lot of stuff in the pharmaceutical industry, believe it or not. I didn't realize how much they are into that. They are a chemical company after all, so they do a lot in the pharmaceuticals now. And film has caused them to last year, add more machinery to process film. And they do have their name out there that they let people use for low-end, inexpensive cameras with their name on it that do sell, rather well for the point-and-shoot crowd. So let's hope that a company that's been around, since the 1880s, continues to be around for a good long time. Now, my surprise to everybody is I'm gonna our friend, and he's always funny when he calls me, so I'm going to use his intro on him. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ron Pollard, reached out to me today about 3 hours before the show, and we had a wonderful conversation, discussion about a lot of different things. He let me know what he's been up to, what his future engagements are, some of the things that he's done recently. He wishes everybody in our small but wonderful group of photographers well. He has popped up on occasion in the chat. He does go back and watch some of the shows after the fact, and he appreciates what we all do to keep things going, and he enjoys it. And we can't ask for anything more. He just wanted to say hi to everybody, to pass on a hello to everybody, and that he misses everybody. And it's just that he's in a business where, you got to strike when the iron's hot, and you have to pursue the work. He's had discussions with Joe McNally, and Joe has said on some interviews and whatnot that even though he's Joe McNally, they don't knock on his door. He has to go knocking on their door to get to work. And it's the same thing for Ron. He has to go out there and meet new clients or potential clients and try to set himself up for jobs and stuff like that to earn a living. So very, very busy, but I told him we all wish him the best, appreciate that he enjoys our show and the people that come on it. I'm honored that he stays in touch. And to me, he's a class act and a true gentleman in the photo industry. And I think very highly of him. So he sent some images to me and Mozman at the same time. and I'll share with you what he was kind enough to send us. And I'll apologize to him ahead of time in case he pops in the chat that there were some things I was not able to in the short time I had from the end of our conversation to the beginning of the show. I didn't get to bring everything over, but I will share with you as much I can.
But you want to do that now or after we finish with the rumors?
I'll do it right now. We'll throw this in because we could always finish the rumors later on if we have to.
Okay, very good.
So there's the man himself.
Ooh. In camo gear.
Okay, so he was leading. This is a picture of him in camo, and that's going to be part of me picking on him. He was a lead coaching photographer for a huge religious event that was part of a North American live stream with the Seventh-day Adventist Church. There were 247 countries participating with well over 45,000 people in St. Louis, Missouri at the Dome representing themselves with their flags. And he was kind of like in charge overall of the production of the photography side of things, and had a lot of photographers working with him to capture this event. And this was from July 2nd to the 12th of this year. He was shooting with the Z9 and the F-mount 120 to 300 millimeter f2.8 lens, which he never had used before, and totally blew him away. And he says he's waiting for something similar in the Z-mount, hopefully at some point in time. And, this event obviously was monumental for him, the scale of the production and what he, was hired to do, and him gathering a bunch of other people to work with him on this was fantastic. I'm sure he had to do a lot of specialty photo shoots over the course of the event as well. But I will say regarding the camouflage pants, I hate to tell you, just like in nature, the birds see you. And in this case, the people still saw you, even though you had the camouflage pants on. So I will try to now share some other video clips from him. And bear with me. It's going to take bring me up here quick, I think, because I have to I'm going to have to show you a video from my phone because I wasn't able to bring it over. Let's see if I can.
Official best.
Come on, phone. Okay. So here we go. This is his son that's with him. His son was there with him.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. Office. Here at the Dome, St. Louis, 75 to 80,000 people. Get a little bit more from the floor. This week, it's going down here. This week's office. Blessings, everybody.
So he had the opportunity. His son had the opportunity to go with him, and he likes to do the video. He likes to do video a lot. So I think he had a great time, and I'm going to see if this will come up and I can share it. We shall see. Like I said, some of this stuff I don't have good luck when I try to do it. And I will try to see if it works. This is just a little clip that he sent, and pictures of Ron with the camera. And let me find some more stuff here. Get rid of that off my screen.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's all right. It's just a lot of zigging and zagging and moving.
Keep looking.
I feel like a boxer, ducking and weaving.
No, that's all right. And locally, between the two of us, we work in this, okay?
So
look at that. Well, that's what a professional had to do.
Yeah, that is a lot. That is a lot of people. And to be involved with something at that level is incredible. And obviously he's earned it. You know, if he didn't do good work, he certainly wouldn't get a gig like that. I'm gonna give me a second. I'm gonna open up some files of the the people from the different countries with the flags in a second, and then I'll fill you in on what he has upcoming going on. So give me 30 seconds here to just bring in some images that I can share that he sent me. And let's see if I missed any. No, I think that's it. So let me. All righty. So. No.
I can make it bigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have the countries representing that religious organization going down the pathway here through the really a Coliseum. That's football Coliseum they're at. And Tim's saying most important piece of gear, comfortable shoes.
Absolutely right.
But you can imagine the challenges, with the type of lighting an event like this, real dark background, spotlights on and off here and there, people walking in front of you while you try to take the picture. It's kind of like doing a wedding shoot, but probably 100 times harder. Let me bring up another one. Just bear with me. Let's see. Got about 6 images to share, so it's not like it's 100 here.
That's Turkey, right?
Turkey.
That's the way they spell it. Yeah, with the yeah.
They've rebranded themselves.
They're rebranded, yeah. And so I just find it, the difficulties in trying to capture the enthusiasm and all the people that were there and the event and combination of video and stills and he had a lot. I forget how, he didn't tell me how many people he had as part of the team doing the stills and the videos, but
so he had to use the stadium light, correct? No flash, because probably
yeah.
The colors are beautiful.
Colors are great.
Yeah.
Let's see if I got another one or not. Not sure. Let me see. Okay, this is the last one that I was able to bring over, and this is the head of the church. From what I remember, and him talking to me, doing a speech, in front of everybody there, and I'm sure it was very, very. With that many people, that was a pretty amazing event, I'm sure, for everybody. Now I'll get back to some of the things he said he was going to be working on down the road. Some of his, he's had the opportunity, with all the connections he's made over the years and his work and whatnot, and I had the opportunity to, try out different pieces of gear and whatnot. And he specifically mentioned that he had tried out a tripod that he really liked, and I guess he bought it. And a bunch of people that he knew also bought the same tripod. I don't recall the name of it. He is going to send me information about it, and I'll probably have it and can share that information with you on a future show, or before the photo review, next month or what have you. But he's trying out different photo gear. He's, like I said, busy pursuing new business opportunities. And he's just having a real good time, but he's extremely busy. He's got I think very shortly, very near future, he's going to be doing another PGA Tour event. He's going to be then he's going to be getting into the time of year where he does workshops in various parts of the country. If he sends me a detailed list of the wheres and the whens, I'll share that with people. And he's going to be doing some travel and probably some tours, photo tour type of stuff at different parts of the year, later in the year as well. So he definitely is going at 180 miles an hour all the time. But I just want to thank him for one, reaching out, having a very nice conversation. I always love talking with him. And as does Tim and Chuck as well. He used to be very involved, when Chuck was starting out the show and everything. But he's, like I said, he's working his behind off, and but he does keep tabs on us. He does look at everybody's images when we do the photo review, and he appreciates what we do. And I just want to toss it back and say we appreciate what he does as well. He's a good representative for the photo industry as a whole, and
a friend of the channel.
Friend of the channel, absolutely.
All right.
So that's the surprise.
I guess wrong.
You guessed wrong. Who you want to say who you thought it was going to be?
I thought it was Sanjay.
No, not yet.
Sanjay sent us an email.
Yeah, Sanjay did communicate with us that hopefully either both himself and maybe some people that work with him that he works with will hopefully down the road be able to do some share some more information about what they're doing in Malaysia and the progress they're making and things like that. So expect to have something like that later in the year, because we do have other things that Gustavo will talk about later in terms of other topics that are going to get discussed on this general discussion live stream that we do the third Saturday of every month. Nikon rumors, not a lot. A little talk about the Megadap ETZ 21 Pro adapter. They did the firmware 2.0, so it works better with the Z8. Improves compatibility of old Sony E-mount lenses. Improves compatibility of stacking third-party adapters. Nautical, who most of you don't know who that is, but Nautical makes underwater camera housings. They announced a new underwater housing for the Nikon Z5 II. In case you want to know, part number is NA-Z5 II, and it's only $3,800. So
the camera.
So rush out and get yours today. Next storage, CF Express 4.0 Type B cards. Their model number NX-B3AE series is now officially approved by Nikon for the Z6 III, the Z8, and the Z9 cameras. And as Ron Pollard just texted me, some of his workshops down the road upcoming will be in California, Canada. Oh, I just lost it here. California, Canada, and then one other spot. I got to go back to let me go to my email here. Let me get in the email. Come on, email.
So what you're waiting the frame? So on the Kodak thing, because you didn't have a chance to comment. Basically, what it was a financial disclosure, correct, to the investors that they had to do a part of the regulation, correct. So, but I don't see there going to be any trouble. I believe that this is just they have to provide a warning because that debt they have or the salon is due to come next year. So part of the financial disclosure they have to indicate that. But I think they have a means to fund the payment that they had to do on that loan. So that's basically. So did you find your?
Yes. Yeah, I did. Ron's going to be doing some seminars, California, Canada, DC, and Baltimore, Maryland down the road. And if I get, once he has firm dates or whatever, hopefully he'll just send me an email and I can share that with everybody. And his what he bought was a YC Onion Pinetta Pro monopod, and he says that monopod is so good that he doesn't quite replace a tripod, but he says it's pretty close. He says it's really, really good. He likes it a lot. So that's that information. And as I'll let Gustavo talk about it here. I had a note, obviously every week there's a lot of third-party lenses being released for Z cameras, whether it be APS-C models or full frame. And Gustavo, you got a small list here you made up of what's coming out.
Yes, as they come along, I put them on the slide. So a lot of actually wide angle lens. Okay, the series Aurora 35 millimeters, 24 millimeter from Mikey. Sorry, I misspelled this. F1.4, then TTR 40 millimeter, and there is a 200 millimeter f2, which actually brings me to the other side, correct?
Yeah.
Because there is an announcement not for the Nikon mount of a Sigma 200 millimeter f2, and that is an interesting lens. Right? So
I saw a picture of that lens. It is huge. It is big. It's going to be big. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be very expensive.
Well, let's see. I think Chuck, you used to have a 200 millimeter f2 for Nikon, correct? And you like that lens.
Yeah, I still have it. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the one that was giving you trouble with the autofocus a little bit on the with the if I recall correctly from many years ago. But indeed, I mean, but we know we are missing a 200 millimeter f2 in the current lineup on the Z mount, and many of us would like to have a 200 millimeter, not necessarily f2, but a macro 200 millimeter.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it's interesting on that front. Now, yesterday there was a kind of breaking news in the Nikon rumor site about the potential 2470 millimeters f2.8 Mark II to be announced in the coming weeks. Correct? So is the refresh of the lineup potentially starting refresh of the lineup of some of the Z lenses, correct? And the first one would be that one. So according to Nico rumors, it could be eminent that we have that one. So I don't know if you heard about it as well. Yeah.
Yep. And kind of tagging along with the Sigma
Yes.
information is, according to Sony rumors, down the road a little bit, Sigma is supposedly going to come out with a crazy Bokeh King of a lens. They're going to have a 135 millimeter f1.4,
Wow.
presumably, and a new travel lens, a 20 to 200 millimeter lens, but they don't have any aperture information yet and no images, pricing, or release dates. And then on August 19th, they're supposedly going to announce a 12 millimeter f1.4 for APS-C, the 200 millimeter f2 that Gustavo just mentioned, and possibly a 35 millimeter f2 version 2. And this is all from Sony rumors now. Until October 1st, you can get an additional $100 cash back on select cameras and kits. There's links to B&H on the rumor site that you could go to see, what you could get that extra money off on. I thought some of you might be interested in this. There may be some of you out there that are Maven magnetic filter fans. I happen to be one of them. They've gone through Kickstarter. They had what they called Wave 1, where they released a bunch of filters. They had a Wave 2. I bought some filters from both of those promotional periods, and they now have a Kickstarter Wave 3, which are mostly specialty filters, but also a battery operated magnetic ring light, which is cool, that you could just snap on the front of your lens, and you can control the color temperature and the brightness of this ring light. And it might be some. I personally, I actually ordered one. I put my name on the list to support it. I want to test it out and see how it works for macro shots and close up shots. But if you're interested in that ring light, you can go on Kickstarter. The ring light sells for $79 right now. If you do it early, they came out with, and I sent an email out to some of those people working on the astrophotographer courses. They came out with what they call a deep sky H alpha filter for astrophotography. That's going to be $99. That supposedly gets rid of a lot of pollution in the sky and enhances and brings out the true colors of what's up there in the sky. There's a lot more information on that on the Kickstarter website, and there are also YouTube videos on Sony Rumor where they talk about each item that is in that Wave 3, in case you guys are interested in that.
So which one do you get? I mean, that ring light that will clip on your magnetic system as well.
Yeah. Yep.
That sounds good.
Just click it on, click it off.
Yeah. And did you decide to go for that alpha filter or not?
I did not, because I don't do astrophotography, but
You may do it after you watch what's coming.
I can't afford you guys trying to pull me into another discipline. I can't afford it.
Hey, just buy this vintage camera.
And talking about how much of the Kodak information was true, false, somewhere in between. You got the same thing with the rumors of Sony selling their sensor division. That got a lot of news from several YouTubers, content creators, and the news media and whatever. And the comment that was posted on Sony Rumors was, no, Sony is not selling its image sensor division outright, while there have been reports and speculation about potentially spinning off the division into a separate company. Sony has denied plans to sell the entire division. Instead, they're considering streamlining the structure of their semiconductor businesses, potentially by spinning it off as Sony Semiconductor Solutions Corporation, and even listing it publicly. This would involve distributing the bulk of Sony's shares in the chip business to existing shareholders, while the parent company would retain a minority stake. So, yes, they may be not have a controlling interest in the semiconductor business down the road, but they will still be part of that semiconductor business down the road.
And that may be related to that other rumor that I have here, which is that the Sony semiconductor business may lose a large part of the business if Apple decided to have the sensor made differently, either by Apple themselves or somebody else.
Yeah.
These may be related.
Yeah, I mean the real deal is Sony is not making their killer dollars in their in their sensor manufacturing due to camera sales, whether it be their own products or sensors that they sell or that they make, like to Nikon specs or Fuji specs or whoever. It doesn't matter. That is where they're making their money. They sell millions and millions and millions of tiny camera sensors for industrial applications, for cell phones, predominantly a lot of them with Apple phones right now. That's where they're making their big bucks. They're not making it on the camera business is not selling millions and millions and millions of cameras, so that's not where they're getting it. And part of the problem is the cost to develop a new sensor for a camera. It costs a lot of money, and if you could sell that sensor or a variation of that sensor and put it in another brand camera, you're going to do it. So people got to get off the, oh, so-and-so uses a Sony sensor. Well, yeah, sometimes they are straight out. Sometimes they're having one, they design it and Sony manufactures it, but it's only going to be in that other brand's camera and it's their design. And so this whole thing, eventually, hey, Sony may be getting sensors from somebody named Joe's Junkyard. Who knows, right? So time to stop, having fun with you use a Sony sensor. Who cares? Don't matter.
And that potential, I don't think it was never a conflict of interest.
Right.
May not exist anymore if they are a completely independent company with different shareholders. So
correct.
So I think that makes sense. But the Apple business going away is potentially not good for not because the semiconductor or the sensor business is going to be a problem for them, but is if a big client walk away, then you have to replace it with somebody else, correct?
Yeah.
So anyway, we got a couple of more things before you show some of your new babies, okay?
Yeah.
So I think it was in Petapixel, they were promoting some couple of documentaries that I have here. I think both were worthwhile watching. One about actually Kodak, and that was before the financial disclosure announcement, and about how they ended where they are and how they basically lost their way because they stuck to film too tightly, and most of these two videos, the one about Kodak and one the Olympus, are mostly dealing with financial issues and management issues, but they were both interesting, particularly the Olympus one. I didn't know about basically the Olympus scandal, correct? But I think if you are interested, look for those on YouTube, and they're quite entertaining and provide some instruction to us. Then, obviously, on the other side, what Jeff prepared himself here, there were a couple of other things that I put in our list of news and rumor. There is another price increase coming on September 11th to basically adjust for the adjustment of the tariff. I think in Nico rumor there was a list of the lenses that are going to be affected by that. And finally here, I think it was Nikon continue to give us firmware for even older cameras. So the DSLRs are taking some love as well. So there were some firmware, mostly with fixes and small bug debugging for the D6 and D780. So that's what I have. Now, Jeff, do you want to show some of your recent acquisitions?
Yeah, I'll show one. If we have time, I'll show two. And then I do have a little bit of Sony rumors and Fuji rumors. And what we could do is if we have time, fine, we'll share it at the end of the show. And if we don't, it's nothing mind-boggling that we have to talk about anyway. But if we have the time, we will.
Exactly.
A couple vintage cameras I recently picked up. One of them is a huge camera, absolutely huge. Really big. Okay. Wow. This is a Zeiss Icon 10-door baby box camera, model 54/18. I bought this and it was listed as being a 1930 model, but after getting it and doing a lot of research, it's actually a 1931 model. And the models look exactly the same, and I'll tell you the difference. But you have this is a half frame camera. Okay, I'll show you the top view. You have tripod sockets in 2 locations.
Okay.
Because it's such a heavy camera, you got to have it on a tripod.
Well,
You got the back where you have two of the little red lenses. And because it's a half frame camera, when you're winding the film, you get the number one in the bottom here. You see the number one in here from the roll film. You take a picture. You wind it until the number one shows up here, and you take another picture. So you get two shots on every negative on this 8 exposure roll of 127 film. So you end up with 16 images. And that's how that works. And you have on this side, you have a little lever that you move my finger the right way. You have a little lever that you pull out. One direction allows you to do instantaneous shots. The lens is basically like equivalent to I think a 50 millimeter lens at f11. It's not like a old Kodak box camera where you might have a slider that lets you have 3 different aperture sizes. You have a fixed aperture of f11. You have no shutter speed settings. You do instantaneous or you do bulb mode, where you hold down the shutter release and you hold it down, and when you want to and then you let go when you want to complete the image.
It's almost like a pinhole camera, right?
Yeah.
Camera.
You do have a little hole here for a cable release, which would be handy if you're doing obviously if you're doing a bulb mode. A cable release would really help you. But what's interesting is this little piece of wire on the top. You have what they call a sports finder on the back that you're looking through.
Oh my God.
But you also have this little wire. And the difference between the 1930 version and the 1931 version is with the 1930 version, whether this wire is pushed down or pushed up, you could actuate the shutter lever here on the side and take a picture. In 1931, when this is pushed all the way down, it rests against the rotary shutter on the inside, and it doesn't allow you to take a picture. So when I first got it, I thought it was broken. Then I do my research and I find out, oh, the shutter doesn't work if this isn't pulled up. So when it's pulled up, everything works fine.
Oh my
And
God.
if I want to do the the bulb mode, there you go. You can see the hole, I think, for the aperture, and then you let go. But that's this little camera, and it's pretty neat, And they did have one other 54/18 series model, which was a Series E, and that had an actual f6.3 Novar lens, and it was a focusing model, which this one is not. You don't focus with this camera. But irregardless, small stature, good quality. But think about it for a minute. You only have 2 things to control. Your f-stop is fixed. You have an instantaneous shutter. I don't know what that simulates for shutter speed. And you have, whatever your speed of your film is. So you're highly restricted in terms of figuring out what lighting conditions that you would have where you would be able to take a good picture with this camera. So you'd have to know about exposure latitude for your film that you're using to see what kind of conditions that you could really get a decent image.
Exactly. Jeff, that's what I was saying. You have to check the weather forecast, and then you say, okay, good, you're going to take a photo.
Right. So that's the first one. Now this next one, hopefully I may go 5 minutes over here because there's a lot of information on it. The next camera I bought, which is a gem, I'll show it to you first, and then I'll tell you what it is. So this is a Canon. I'll tell you that much. This is a Canon rangefinder camera.
Wow. Looks nice and clean.
It's pretty much mint, and
Yeah.
it worked, and it's functionally perfect. Functionally perfect. So this is a 1954 to 1956 Canon 4 SB2 rangefinder camera, which was considered a Leica copy. And what I mean by a Leica copy, it was competing against what Leica had out there for the Barnack series of cameras. You know, before they came out with the M series, the Leica M, they had all the other cameras prior to that were just called the Barnack Leicas, and the Leica 2s and the Leica 3s. And this camera was competing against this. And now I have another Leica copy that I did on a video quite a while back called the Nikka 3F. That looks more like a Leica copy than this one does. This does have more to it than the Leica models. This was the last bottom-loaded rangefinder camera. It loaded the film the same way. You know, you don't have a door that opens up on the back. It's a real pain in the behind. If you ever loaded a Leica, it's a challenge, but you do it enough times you get used to it. This loads film the same exact way. But this was the best of the rangefinders that were bottom loaded, and the last one that Canon made. And it was more than just a worthy competitor to the Leica 2s and the 3s. It had a few added perks. And unfortunately, for many of the competitors in the rangefinder market, including Canon, when the M3 came out, it overshadowed what everybody else had at that point in time. And that came out in 1954. And a lot of the competitors just dropped out of the rangefinder business, or they focused on low-end models that were very cheaper than Leicas, and so they made their sales that way. But Canon never really came out with a competitor to the M3, unlike Nikon, because they put out the Nikon SP, which did go toe-to-toe and in some ways was better than the M3. But that's a story for another day, and one that I've talked about on my channel before. But you say, what's so great about this camera? It had a combined viewfinder rangefinder, which even the M3 didn't have. And the M3 had two windows that you look through in the back. You had one for focusing and one for composing. This one, you look through the one lens on the back, and you would focus like a rangefinder would, where you gotta line up the images and compose using the same viewfinder, and that's a big advantage. And they commonly call that, cameras that have that feature, they call it a coincident image rangefinder. That's the name, when you can do both looking through one viewfinder. It still used the M39 mount, so it was compatible. You could put Leica lenses on this. You could put Canon lenses on the Leica. You could put Nikon lenses on the Canon. You know, there's so many M39 screw mount lenses out there. You have tons of choices. The shutter speed range on this was 1 second to 1/1000th, with a flash sync for electronic flash of 1/45th of a second. Many Leicas only had 1/500th of a second at the time, although the Leica 3F I know did have 1/1000th. It still utilized instead of a film advance lever, it still had the rewind knob, that you turned. Okay, to wind the film. It was heavier than the Leica versions, but part of that was because of what they had to do to have a coupled, rangefinder. Another big advantage was they had a lever here on the side, which hopefully you can see it here. There you go. This lever here, 3 positions. You had F, 1x, and 1.5x. This was a magnification lever. So when it was on F, what you saw when you looked through the viewfinder represented the field of view of a 50 millimeter lens, which was the standard lens. This has a 50 millimeter f1.8 on it. So you'd have it in F mode. So now let's say I'm focusing the lens, and for some reason I'm focusing on something far away. I'm having a little difficulty. I want to make sure that focus is absolutely perfect. Without taking my eye off the back of the camera, I can slide that lever to 1 times magnification or 1.5 times magnification and really nail the focus, and then just slide it back when my eye's still looking through back to that F mode and compose and take the picture. And that's a big advantage that this camera had. Now, if you put a 100 millimeter Canon lens on this, you can put it in the 1 times mode, and what you would see through the viewfinder would represent the field of view for that 100 millimeter lens. And as long as your subject was more than 13 feet away, you didn't have to worry about parallax error. If it was closer than 13 feet away, they recommended that you buy the separate viewfinder for that focal length that
Where's my
at
sound?
the top of the camera. The 1.5 times setting you would use for the Canon 135 millimeter lens. Same deal, but if you were less than 14 feet away from your subject that you were focusing on, once again, they would recommend that you put the 135 millimeter viewfinder on the top. So this camera has a red Canon 135 millimeter lens, a red EP, see the diamond under the word Canon, feet away from your subject that you were focusing on, and it says EP. The EP stands for exempt purchase. So this camera, the person I bought it from, this was their grandfather's camera. He was probably in the service. You would get a camera that had the EP stamp on it if you bought it through Military Post Exchange, PX, or duty-free store in Japan. So this was probably owned by someone who was in Japan at the time, after World War II. Now, the camera did not have a flash sync port like you have on the Leicas, like basically right here in the middle. You got a PC port, flash sync port. This camera didn't have it. This thing had a specialty flash bracket with a connection point here. It just looks like a little round ball bearing sticking out, and that was your flash sync for a Canon model flash. And supposedly they made a adapter, and there were third-party people that supposedly made adapters to go from what they called the side rail bracket to a PC flash sync port. But I'll be honest with you, I spent 3 hours looking today, and not only couldn't I find one made by Canon, I couldn't find one made by anybody else. So they may be out there, but they're probably next to impossible to find. But for flash, you had a high-speed sync, what they called high-speed sync for flash bulbs, which was a 30th of a second. You had you could do the X sync for speed lights if you had the adapters to do that, and that was 1/45th of a second shutter speed. And then you could do slow sync flash if you per the flash manufacturer's instructions, and will tell you what the shutter speed would be for that flash unit to do slow speed. And it all depends on your flash bulbs that you're using, is what it comes down to. So that's really, I think it's a worthy addition to my collection due to its feature set, its historical significance. It really was the best rangefinder camera, bottom loader, according to some. Canon historian Peter Deckert stated it was the world's finest bottom loading 35 millimeter camera ever made. Of course, Leica kind of ruined the parade on that when they came out with the M3. So that's about it. I just wanted to. You got the high speed shutter dial on the top, like the Leica. You got the slow speed shutter dial on the front. You've got the lever over here for, one mode is for advancing the film when you're taking pictures, and you move the lever for rewinding the film. The shutter release, everything mechanically. They said this was equal or better than the Leica. That's not me saying that. That's from everything I've read, and it's very, very quiet. I'll hit the shutter a few times. That's at 1/500th of a second, and this ring that goes around the shutter button, you can unscrew that, and it doesn't use a standard cable release, with the small plunger, small thread, small plunger. You have to get a specialty cable release, which I found one today and I ordered it. It'll actually go down over the shutter button, and if there's still a few threads showing that you can't see, so you can drop the thing in and tighten it up, and then it'll have a larger plunger that pushes down on the shutter release button to fire the camera. But it's a specialty cable release, which was very hard to find. But I guess they made some adapters that you could screw it in here, and then it would neck down, so it would allow you to screw in the smaller shutter releases if you wanted to use those. So, but that's about it. You didn't have a hot shoe. It's a cold shoe. It was just for mounting the viewfinders, sometimes mounting the flash, and then you'd hook up the PC, cord to the adapter or what have you. But wonderful camera, phenomenal condition, and glad I was able to find it. And for everybody that thinks that I find these things at the blink of an eye, I bought 4 cameras in the last 2 weeks, and I looked at 7,000 cameras, and I found 4. So camera collecting is not for people that think that you're going to believe everything somebody says, no matter who you're buying it from, an auctioneer, eBay site, someone that sells antiques. You got to do a lot of homework. You got to be very familiar with this stuff. You got to know how to look at something in 30 seconds and know whether you should just click the button and keep going. And like I said, over 6,000 cameras I looked at, and I bought 4, and I shared 2 of them with you tonight. So I'm done. We're ready for the main event. I should have the wrestling guy says, "Are you ready to rumble?"
For the next thing. But Jeff, first congratulations. The first camera is cute, correct? In the category of cute, and as we were talking, I mean, it's almost like a box, correct? And
Yeah.
so nothing else. And that second camera is beautiful. Wow, incredible camera. So congratulations on behalf of the community here, because we know you your homework, and you really get a lot of joy from those cameras. So anyway,
See, Mazman's waiting for me to croak. Then he's going to call my wife up, and he's gonna abscond with all the cameras I've collected, and he doesn't have to do any work. It works out really good for him.
And cheap.
that's true. And Mossman, he keeps saying, "No, I'm not going to buy any more." That's what he keeps saying. But anyway, John Ishii joined us briefly. He was having some audio issues, so we may see John later on. I'll let you know so that he show up here in the chat and in the video as well. So anyway, so let's get on with the show here. So let me go back to the big view, and all right. So what is? Oops, Press the wrong thing. Okay. I forget that.
See, what's funny, Gustavo, is you and I could really mess around with each other, but we're
I
very polite. We don't do that.
no. But we actually we get the hang on it.
Yeah.
So we becoming a good director. So now we're going to go to the uh, uh, feature presentation for today,
Oops.
correct? And and first I had to welcome Luis, who uh, uh, kindly is going to join me here. He's now just past 4 a.m. in the Netherlands, in Maastricht.
Yeah, don't talk about it. No.
And we do appreciate, but indeed, Luis, that's we brought Jeff to fill up the beginning of the job. So this is what we have for you guys today. So
Great.
hummingbird photography part two. But so let's get on with it. So in the front end, I'm going to be talking a little bit of trying to encourage you guys to try some of these. Uh, I think, as I said last time, we talked about hummingbird photography. Most of the hummingbird photography is done under a controlled environment, correct? Around flowering plants, which can be wild or planted, around feeders and non-perches, where the hummingbird guard the feeders of the plant. At the base, although that's nowadays discouraged. And so it's potentially accessible, provided there are hummingbirds in your area, to everybody to do this. Now, um, one of the characteristics that allows to do this is because most of the hummingbirds exhibit what is called high location and type fidelity. For instance, in my area here, Colorado, or around my yard, they show up about tax day, April 15. I can put the feeders out, and they within a couple of days they will show from the low migration from Central America. Right now, um, um, I do recommend that there is many hummingbird feeders. You can buy them in Lowe's. You can buy them in many garden supply places. But I actually buy these from Amazon. This is the one that I have after having a multitude of different ones that are fancier. I actually go for this. Are actually not the cheapest one, but actually the easiest one to clean, because you do have to change basically the water with sugar.
Gustavo,
Yes, sir.
are those bases plastic or metal?
These are based on metal. And you talk about the red part,
Yeah, the red part.
they are made of plastic. And
Yeah,
the bottle is made of glass, and then you see the hook part in it. So actually, I don't like the metal ones because they tend to rust.
that's why I asked you, because I had a metal one and it didn't even last a season. It got corroded so bad, and then they wouldn't. The ones that gets yucky looking, they won't even come.
And that's what I recommend this one here.
Yeah.
This one is very easy to clean as well, correct? Which is important. Otherwise, you get into trouble. So what I say here, the point is simpler feeders typically work best. The formula for the feeder is 1 part of sugar, 4 part of water, right? You have to bring it to a boil and then let it cool before. Do not use color additives. Sometimes in Lowe's in Home Depot, you find these pre-mixed with color additive. The red color additives are very bad for hummingbirds. But if you go through this, you have to be patient before they develop that fidelity to your house and to your area. Sugar water must be changed regularly. In my case, here with the higher temperatures in the summer, I change it once a week, and then it seems to be okay. So feeding consistency is essential. So if you do this, it's possible. Now, you can also plant flowers either in beds or bring the pots from your garden center. I typically use some of these flower plants. They are very good at attracting. So if you want to get photography and you don't want to photograph them in their around the feeders, you can bring some plants. And these are some of the plants that I have found work very well. Okay. Now, as I said, a lot of it's done on the control environment, so you can do setup. And I think I made this photo a couple of years ago for Mossman. Obviously, you can put something in your garden. Let's say hello, bye bye here to Chuck. So Chuck,
Bye, Chuck.
Yeah, see you, Chuck.
Take care, Chuck. Thanks a
All right,
lot.
guys. Good night.
Night to you, my
Bye,
friend.
man.
Thank you.
so you can have as something simple as that. You put your feeders, and when you are ready to photograph, then you bring one of the flowering plants nearby, and you can take the feeders down, and they will go for that plant. So that's one way to do it. Um, this is here from my backyard, and then on the if you using flash assisted photography, you can then put it in the railing in the deck, and then attract it again with water sugar feeders, but then put the plants in a place that is convenient for photography. We're going to talk about a little bit about flash photography a little as well, right? So you can see you can always control your light, provided you train your hummingbird to go to a certain place with feeder, correct? So you put your so even if you have a small yard uh, or a balcony, you can do this type of thing, provided the hummingbirds are already habituated to come for your feeders. So this is actually one thing that I did this year on my backyard. I actually ended having somebody to create me these what do you call the
Like plant boxes, planter
plant
boxes.
correct? So I created a small area, put some pavystone, or they put some pavystone, and then put up a couple of boxes, correct? So I'm getting a little bit more dedicated to having proper setup for my photography. One I'm going to dedicate for pollinators, and this one that you see here, I'm going to dedicate to the only hummingbird attracting ones. Okay, so this you can see this is in the unkept part of my yard, and you can see at the back my neighbor's house or my neighbor's study. So anyway, so that's a new addition. Now, everybody, as I said, can start doing the photography. Correct. The easiest way to start is doing photography at the feeder. Correct. You can, if you want, typically if you have a new species that show up in your area, or if you are not yet proficient with the identifying all the different species, you can always, photographing when they are at the feeder, correct? Like it shows into the picture, correct? Now, uh, when they are at the feeder, you can also do some birds in flight, correct? Because the way the hummingbird feed, they typically sometimes land into the feeder, they take some nectar, they fly a little bit away because they always have to be careful about other wasp and bees, but also guarding the feeder from other hummingbirds, right? They are always under attack when they are feeding, correct? So they will fly away momentarily, so you can catch that point. Now, for some of these photos, I actually decided to show you, and I think Chuck will be interested on that, to show you the raw capture, right? And then show you the actual photo as I captured. I think I took inspiration from this by looking at, I think, what is the Australian photographer that do some bird photography? Uh, well, one of those Australian photographers that they have a bird photography channel, and he always show that. I think it's quite interesting to show how do you basically prepare for the actual final photo. Okay, because when you take the photo as a feeder, you can do two things. You can actually uh, take the photo and remove the feeder digitally, correct? You can put the feeder on the side and then crop it so that you don't see the feeder. So it's a genuine versus photo. Or you can actually remove the whole feeder, correct? And if you remove the whole feeder, their time and space um, dedication of they are so well tuned, they actually will come to the place where the feeder was even when there is no feeder anymore, until they recognize, okay, it's not here, and they start looking for it. Okay, so you take the feeder out, you can focus your pre-focus in the same areas, and you will be able to take a photo without the feeder. Now, in this case, of course, I actually ended showing you one in which I removed the feeder digitally. I don't do this type of photography that much, but if a new species show up or something that I haven't seen before, then I would take this photo as well. Correct? So you can remove it physically, or you can remove them. Uh, um, uh, you can remove them digitally. Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, now you correct me if I'm wrong. Usually, I mean, when I've done small birds or hummingbirds, the few times I get to see them, even though you have you got a high megapixel camera, if you're using, Z9 or Z8, and or an A1 or an A1 II, what have you, whatever you're using, um, to get the hummingbird to be a decent size on a print, you got to crop quite a bit.
Exactly.
Usually I end up with like an 8x12 crop, typically. And I mean, lots of times an 8x12 shot of a hummingbird framed is more than adequate for a lot of people. I mean, obviously, if you want more, you can go and use, gigapixel or something, and create a larger file so you can do a larger print. But I think for real small birds, most people aren't looking for a 20x30 print on their wall of a real small bird. They're looking for like a 5x7, an 8x10, 8x12, something like that.
And that's a good point, Jeff. And I actually talk a little bit about that later on. But you can see here, correct? The what I try to do, any kind of bird photography, correct? But you are going to be doing some cropping if you have the lenses to allow you to do that. You need the bird to be roughly this size within the frame. If your frame is is very tiny, then the image is not going to be any good. Correct. So I aim when I have to have some what I call working space around. Correct, because they are moving. Right, and they're moving extremely fast, faster than you can react. Correct. Yeah. Then you have to this size that you see my cursor. I don't know if you can see it, but I don't see you can see it. But if you look at red square, correct? Look at the size of the bird with the size of the full frame.
Yeah.
That aspect ratio typically allows you to crop and maintain a tremendous amount of details. I mean, if we go into Lightroom or in Photoshop or even in the full resolution JPEG, which is not what you see here in PowerPoint, you will be able to see every single strand of the of every single feather of this bird. So
then,
this ratio allows you to do some cropping, and we will talk a little bit about that later on.
And this is why this is my personal opinion. This is why I use a high megapixel camera.
Exactly.
Because if you had a 24 megapixel camera and you had to crop it, you don't have a lot of data to work with in terms of doing a good size print. You could you have a full frame camera. You sometimes it might be an 8x10 crop, an 8x12 crop, maybe a 12x18 or something like that. You have a lot more flexibility.
I mean that's what I put it here. So indeed, the full frame camera with a higher megapixel allows you to do that. Remember, this is using the 600 millimeter, correct? In this case, is the 606.3 VR. This is very close to the minimum focus distance, right? When I'm sitting from where this feeder is, it's roughly about maybe 10 feet, 5 meters, 6 meters, which is very close to the minimum focal distances because hummingbirds are tiny, correct? I mean, it's borderline almost macro photography, correct?
Yeah.
You really need to get close to the bird. Yeah.
Exactly. Locally, they are they're very tolerant, correct, compared with other birds.
Absolutely. Gustavo, do you want to talk about techniques, how to take pictures around feeders now or a bit later?
No, we can talk as we go along.
Yeah, because, depending on the species, some species do go to a feeder and perch on the feeder and drink there. Other
Yeah.
species just hover around the hummingbird, the feeder, and then go in to drink and then go out. And that's the moment to take the picture.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
you gotta hang even if you don't know the species, you gotta hang of which species does what in areas where there are more than one species. Some
Exactly.
just stay there uh, and drink all the time, and then you have no chance of taking, say, a flight shot, just like Gustav took here. But other species just come in, hover for a little while, then go for a drink, and then they go away from the feeder and just stay there for a second or so. And if you pre-focus and you anticipate that movement, then you can take, if you're lucky, quite a few good pictures of the bird isolated from the feeder.
Exactly, exactly. No, 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 and that's where we're heading here gradually, correct? Because
Yep.
I mean, the other solution is what Jeff have been doing, and actually, Jeff, this is you can go and visit your local park, correct?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
this is me going, and I explain why I went there to the Denver Botanical Gardens at Chatfield, right? Which is one of botanical gardens where there is a lot of hummingbirds, correct? So you can do quite a bit of photography, hummingbird photography, now using whatever native or non-native plants that are around. Correct. When there is a lot of flowers, you have a lot of chance to take photography. Now you have less control, correct, and you have to obey by the park regulations. Probably you will not be able to use flash. You will not be able to. But sometimes you can even. I mean, yesterday I went to this park. I have been going to this park a couple of times in the last couple of weeks because I'm looking for something specific. Correct. I mean, you can be quite successful at doing um, hummingbird photography in your local park, and that's actually the way Jeff and Bob are doing it around that area, right? So now the other thing is, as Luis indicated, hummingbirds are extremely territorial as well, correct? So you can imagine as soon as you put feeders, and that's why when you have a lot of feeders like me, you sometimes have to distribute them so they are not all visible from the same spot. Because
Yeah.
typically when you have, if there will be a couple of dominant individuals and there are more dominant species as well that will actually guard the 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 the,
Yeah.
the feeders or the flowers by that matter because they do visit they also guard the flowers, correct. So but these also allow for photographing them at the perches, correct, the guarding hummingbirds. And actually this photo that you see here is from a female broad-tailed hummingbird, and actually this is the first photo of the season this year, right. I managed to just after April 15th, some of the males show up, and this is actually a female that show up and establish this part of the territory. So I actually were able to, I mean, she already started guarding some of the feeders and actually competing with one of the males, and I managed to get her in kind of quite a cute pose, and so allowed me to take a reasonably good photo. But this is my
Very
first
good.
photo of the year. Now, as we were saying, we were talking about, you can photograph them at the flowers, correct? And it could be the, the flowers that you plant or flowers that you have in your garden, exactly, or they're in botanical gardens or places where there is a lot of flowers, or not, or actually looking for, in the case of the tropics, for flowering native species, which when the time the flowering, that's the time to look for a specific. Now
Yeah.
you can find them, you can photograph them when they're actually feeding with their beak inside the flower, correct? Or when they are hovering around the flowers. They will always go when there's a lot of flowers. They will move from flower to flower, and they
Hmm.
will know exactly which ones are the ones that have nectar, correct? They will actually be able to detect the ones that are nectar and that would be visiting. Okay. So here I have a question for you. Which one of the photographers do you prefer? Do you prefer when they are actually feeding or when they are hovering? Right?
Well,
I take
if you're shooting, let's say you're shooting to sell, you take it from all different positions and you let your customer decide what they want.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
no,
Always good in marketing, Jeff.
Yeah.
I take them both, but my
Yeah, I like both. Yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer the hovering one, correct? Because you can see the whole bird, you can see the beak. Sometimes, like you will see some of the photo from Luis, the beak sometimes could be quite interesting, correct? But indeed, I tend to favor the ones in which they are just hovering around.
Yeah.
Also because it's a little bit technically a little bit more difficult, correct?
Yeah. I like if they are partially, if the beak is partially in the flower, but not wholly disappearing into a flower.
Exactly.
That I like as well.
Yeah. Oh, the wing position is
It's
a lot
it's
too.
more
You know,
important to me.
because
And
wing position can make or break the picture too.
exactly. And actually, that's the next topic. Let's say, Jeff.
Excellent.
It's a good segue. So
See, and I
Yeah.
didn't even see your pitch ahead of time.
I
exactly,
don't believe it.
exactly. When you're photographing at the flowers or at the feeder, but you can also have different wind position, and all bird photographers are very peculiar about wind position. Actually, at some of they can have. I mean, if we have a 20 frame per second at a good speed, correct?
It's not enough.
Sometimes you can get about four positions in the stroke, but they probably will have more stroke than I think they go from probably what is it? I make a note here. They go from 12 frame per second to 90 frame per second uh, 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 in the stroke. So with a 20 frame per second, you probably capture one of those strokes, or
Yeah.
particularly with these smaller ones, they beat their wings very quickly, correct? But you get four positions. Here I put the two streams, correct? With the upstrokes and downstroke, there is some intermediate ones. I actually don't like the intermediate ones, but again, I have a question for you. Which position you prefer, upstroke or downstroke?
Uh,
That's tough. I mean, the thing with the
yeah.
upstroke is sometimes, like in this picture, sometimes you get, well, actually, it's not a shadow. It's just a part of the wing, but, kind of looks like a shadow, but it's not really a shadow in there, close to the body. But I don't know. I mean, once again, I like them both. This is one of those cases to me, like you'd be nice. You have these two, it's the same hummingbird, one shot basically right after another, same lighting, same settings, everything else this is when it's nice to, like, here we go with the marking again. You get a double frame, and you have a frame that holds two pictures in it, and you put these side by side, and then you got the best of both worlds with one thing that hangs on the wall.
Yeah, like you have it here, correct?
Yep.
Another variation of upstroke or downstroke is the shutter speed. Because do you like to see the whole wing as a whole, or a little bit blurry?
Exactly.
That's also something else. I like upstroke. If I see the entire wing, I prefer upstroke, because then I can see part of the body. Depends on the coloring of the species as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't see the back that well with the upstroke. It depends a lot on the species, to be honest.
If it had a red chest on it right now with the downstroke, you wouldn't know it.
You wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
So I do like the upstroke better, but I tend to gravitate towards either the upstroke or the downstroke. The ones in the middle are the ones that I do not favor. But indeed, I didn't put anything about the speed, correct? Because I you will see some that I let it blur, correct, a little bit. But I actually tend to prefer the ones that either I stop the motion with the flash, or in this case, the way I have positioned my setup, I actually shooting at the speed of 1/8,000, 1/10,000, and that's sufficient to freeze the wing in the particularly at the upstroke and downstroke, correct? Because that's the end of the stroke, correct? And you can see every single bar on the flying feathers as well, correct? So anyway, that's my preference is freeze the image, not so much blur, although I take them and you will see some of those. And sometimes you cannot avoid it because you don't have the light condition to allow you for that, or you cannot use flash.
Exactly.
And I prefer to use the upstroke, correct?
Yes.
That remember you contacted me the other day, Gustavo, about a person doing a presentation on wildlife photography through the Journal of Wildlife Photography, Alan Murphy.
Yes.
And what was interesting, and I don't necessarily agree 100% from my own experiences, but he shoots like he consistently just shoots at 1/8,000th of a second, like all the time.
Yeah,
But I mean, I've had, depending on the species of the bird or whatever, I have no problem getting tack sharp wings tip to tip at much slower shutter speeds. It all depends on the type of bird you're taking pictures of course.
Exactly. But in the small birds and certain hummingbird, actually, even you need the high speed. If you want,
you might even be at 10,000.
and indeed, in another show we can talk a little bit about him because I mean he's a master on this type of thing. Correct.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were able to watch it. It was very very nice.
Yeah.
So we also talk about. I showed this picture before. Actually, this is from a series. Hummingbirds also eat insects, correct? And particularly in breeding season, they take a lot more insects. Remember, I showed a picture where there is a little fly and the hummingbird. And sometimes, I'm sure Luis, you have seen them chasing them, and yes, you make that point of them collecting them from spider web.
Yes. Yeah,
They
you
do
see that
it.
a lot.
Yeah, and so they do. You can imagine if you're only eating basically sugar that can create deficiencies in other type of uh, nourishment, correct? So they do complement the diet with a lot of small, but tiny flies, like you will see. They go for a very tiny one, like these small flies, correct? They do see, and reading about some of the species. I don't know where you have seen some of those in your travel, but there are some that even has a modified upturn beak because they actually collect also small insects from the underside of the leaves in the rainforest. Okay? So they do as we know, hummingbirds are highly specialized, but there are some that are so specialized that the beak have been modified. Unfortunately, I don't think I certainly have no photographs on those species. And I don't know, Luis, if you have seen those that have that special. Uh,
Not sure, to be honest, but I've seen different species hunting or
yeah,
collecting the spider webs, indeed, but
yeah, the
not
spider web
necessarily
collect-
with a big specific for one or the other type of insect. No, I'm not sure about that.
Okay, I can share from you and other times from the literature. Okay, they all
Those might be the ones that just ran into a wall by accident.
well, it almost looked like that, Jeff.
Yeah, I know.
Since I was preparing for the presentation, you can imagine I was reading quite a lot, so I needed to. Those would be an interesting piece. I tried to Luis another time. Maybe we put him in a hunt for that particular hummingbird.
On
So
my
anyway,
next trip,
exactly. So the next thing here is obviously, like all birds, they have to keep their feathers in good condition, correct? So they bathe a lot and they preen a lot, correct? So sometimes when you find one of those perching where they are guarding the feeders of the flowers, they also will exhibit a preening behavior, correct? And those photos actually are quite interesting as well, correct? And quite funny because either through a combination to the beak and their small legs, which are actually quite heavy, they are able to condition every single feather in the plumage. And actually, hummingbirds are notorious also by the fact that most of them have most of them have a higher density of feathers that other birds. Right, so you can see here a rufous hummingbird, female or immature, uh, uh, conditioning their feathers either with the legs or the beak. They also, when they do that preening behavior, is typically followed by stretching, and actually
Yes.
that's one of the funniest photos you can get. Sometimes they also get disposed when they are going to get ready to attack, but this stretching behavior sometimes allows you them to get puffy and show all the feathers, but it typically also occur after they are doing a preening session, right?
Yes. Yes.
So knowing all this help you to get different photos and get more involved into your hummingbird photography, correct? Luis, I put one of yours in the front end here
Yeah.
because I could not resist that photo. This is where the fiery hummingbirds or fiery hummingbird,
Yeah. The
one of
fiery throated.
fairy throated, one of the most beautiful um, hummingbirds. And this is a photo from Luis in Costa Rica, but you can see them here again fighting. And in this case, it's probably a bird wasn't one of those perch, and the other one came and tried to dislodge it from the fur. But this is all behavior around flowering beds
Yeah.
and flowering. Uh,
This specific one is by some feeders, but they behave like this where there is food, of course.
Exactly, exactly. And you can see how this is quite interesting. So taking action is, as we know in nature photography, is always the best, correct? But
Yeah.
these are very, very, very difficult. Congratulations to Luis because it's, oh, I mean, they move so fast, correct?
Yeah.
You almost have to catch these by chance because
Yes, and you have to anticipate the behavior. If you know there are a few males around and they are doing this, you just have to pre-focus in that twig or in the perch and be lucky to some degree, of course, and have a high shutter speed. Although this day was kind of, the weather was kind of murky. The shutter speed was not as high as I wanted, but high enough to freeze the action.
yeah. But locally, this is the kind of thing that pre-capture raw will help, correct?
Yeah, but you're an expert on that. I don't know.
No, pre-capture. We don't have it
Oh,
yet.
sorry. Yes. Yeah, true.
Question for you.
Yes, yeah.
Do you find that all I can speak for is this, the small area where we get an opportunity once in a while is it seems like if you have a let's say you're in a park and obviously and they'll have certain areas where they have the types of flowers that the hummingbirds like, but what we predominantly tend to see is one area where we never see males, we only see females, and then we may go to another area and you'll see a couple males fighting and you don't see any females. I mean, do you find that predominantly you end up seeing a lot more females than you do males?
Yes. I mean, the
But
one.
is that during migration or?
Well, this is
No, even during the prime season here. I mean, I hardly ever see a male. Ever.
Here in the U.S.,
Hmm.
particularly on the East Coast. Remember, they only have the ruby throated
Yeah.
hummingbird. And I remember these are all migratories, right? So typically, in the case the ruby throated hummingbirds, when they arrive, the first one that arrive are typically the males, and the females will take about a week and two. Now, so the like all migrated birds, what happened, Luis, here is that the males will establish a territory, correct?
Yeah, that I understand. Yeah.
And then there will be maybe 2 or 3 females around that territory, and he will defend the territory. So typically, what
Sure.
you see, Jeff, is when you see 2 males, is because one is defending a territory. Now, typically, early in the season, you typically see, even in the early in the season, you see more females than than males.
Yeah,
Correct?
sure. Yeah.
Because
The male might be there, but he's kind of out of your line of sight. He's there somewhere, but you don't
exactly,
see
because
him.
you will have 3 females in the territory, 1 male that is defending the territory, and then when you see the 2 males is because one is fighting, correct, and try to get it away. That now that actually gets exacerbated later on, because remember these hummingbirds, they nest, and the chick left the go to become fledglings, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Short time, sometimes 15 days, 20 days, correct? So now you're going to have immature, correct, and females, and then males. So you will, so for every 6 bird, even if it's a male in your area defending that particular, correct, and that's why understanding the behavior, finding who is the bird that is defending, could be defending a particular flower. It could be a female or a male. You find a male defending, then you will see the male. If you find a female, then you will see the female. But during later in the season, Jeff, let's say past, let's say June in your case, or mid-June, you will have a lot of immature and females with respect to the number of mature males. And that's why you see so few. Now in the tropics, it's different, correct? Because they are breeding all the time, although there is some seasonality into it, correct? So
Yeah, absolutely.
So you will see more of the males, but because
the males are always more colorful, and that's what I want to see, and I never see them.
because they are outnumbered. That's basically the answer. Yeah. I have the same. Okay? Now this goes to the topic of cropping, correct? And I got a couple of cropping examples, because I think honestly, and we know there are photographers that claim they never crop, correct? Oh, let's talk about
they lie.
Well, I don't know.
I'll tell you right now, they lie.
I do crop, and actually you saw Alan say that he also crop, correct? And I know Jan Wagoner also crop, because you have to have a working space, correct? Now you can compose a picture for your intent. You can see here, I had these long stands of flowers, correct? I actually was trying to do, I put my camera in vertical, correct? But I knew I could crop. Sometimes leaf will tell you they move from flower to flower, and they start coming from the bottom up, correct? So you crop. There is some intentionality in all this, correct? So I have no problem. I'm a cropper, like Alan said the other day. He confessed that he's a cropper, because it's nonsensical not to crop, correct?
Of course. Otherwise,
if you have,
sometimes they're so close
nice,
that you have to. Otherwise, you go crazy trying to follow these birds.
As nice as the blurry background is, which is beautiful, which it is, if you have so much of it, it's like you got dead space.
Well, and you can control that.
So you want to get rid of some of the dead space, like in this case with your crop, you got rid of some of the dead space. Or if you, let's say now the thing is, if you try to do a vertical, and let's say you try to drag down the top of the vertical to where the top of that red box is, the problem is you drag it down, you scrunch it sideways, you'd probably cut off half of one of the branches here with the flowers on it. So you got to do it the way you did it, and I would do the exact same thing, because the picture is good in a vertical, but if you, depending on how big you're going to make that image, you may say, well, there's too much empty space there, I want to tighten it up.
Exactly. And in this case, it's intentional. That's what I say. And you can see here the raw, Jeff. I didn't have to do that much of the raw, correct? Because this was one that it was in a controlled environment, correct? So I have prepared this so that I can have the right light, the right background, correct? But for me, the flowers were as important as the hummingbird, particularly here when I'm photographing a female, correct?
Yeah.
So anyway, so this is one example. This is another example with a different, I think this is called the red poker, correct? And which I show you, correct? And how I have cropped this, correct? But important here to discuss is what we were talking before, the size of the bird versus the entire frame, correct? You need to have a working a working space. They move very fast, correct? For instance, in this case, I'm using the 600 millimeter, correct? And this is the 600 with the TC. I could get closer. I could engage quickly the TC, correct, and get closer. And I didn't. I didn't want to do that because in order for me to remember, it's going to move from this to the next flower to the next flower, and I had to chase it.
Yeah.
So you have to give yourself a working space, correct? That's what I don't.
Yeah.
I think for certain images or certain type of photography, you may not have to crop, but we wildlife photographers, like you were saying, if you don't crop, you are limiting yourself, correct?
Yeah.
And you're going to miss a lot of photos. You're going to have half wings and half heads and a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Now, another thing you got to consider when you do a crop, and it's no big deal because you got the file on your computer. You could always go back and recrop it or stretch it out or do whatever you want. But the other thing is when you're doing cropping is to consider what is your end result going to be with that image. Because let's say you decide I'm going to frame it and I'm going to do a double matte on it, or even a single matte. Your single matte, is probably going to intrude 1/8 of an inch all around that print. And you don't want the matte to cut off the flower. So it's something that you got to think about when when you're sending, let's say before you send that file out to somebody to make the print, you want to think like, how am I going to present it? Because if you're putting it on glass, you could have the flower right to the edge. It doesn't matter. It's not going to get chopped off.
You have to think that way because you are prepared to take the photo. That's why there is because you have intentionality of this, correct? It's not sloppiness.
Yeah.
Somebody like Alan Murphy is not being sloppy. He's working himself with the equipment that he has and giving him some working rules.
You have to have working
Dwayne Patton is the person that typically chose this, correct? Dwayne also chose what he had cropped because that's the way to teach. Hey, this is the size of the image with regard to my full frame, but this is the way this is how much space I give myself, correct? And this is eventually how I present the photo, correct? Yeah. I think that's useful for this type of discussion we're having here.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes, very much so.
Well, cropping is essential if you want to. Well, you have fast-moving birds, and you want to catch part of the flower or the entire flower. You have to get some distance to allow for movement. You cannot anticipate that you are not going to crop with an hummingbird.
Like if you were using a zoom, let's say you're using the 180 to 600.
But that's a lot easier because you can get closer.
And you're not necessarily going to do 600 because you don't have any working space. You got to back it off a little bit.
You're more restricted with a fixed lens than with a zoom for this type of photography. And another thing that goes on top of crop is that here the flower is well isolated from the background, but very often with let's say flowers which are not in a setting, you have twigs behind, you have leaves of something else behind. You might have a beautiful picture, but with an horrible background, or a twig that goes halfway behind the hummingbird that you might want to remove afterwards. But it's a lot of work often.
Yeah, and that's a good segue because.
Oh, look at that!
You see, I'm logical on this.
Oh yeah, I'm smiling like a Cheshire cat here.
Yes, because this is another kind of misconception about editing. How much, correct? And removing distractions. So you can see here, even with a setup here, Chris, in Luis, in an area. I mean, you cannot have perfect flowers that are completely. I mean, they are part of a plant, correct?
Sure.
And there are other plants around, right? So otherwise they will not come. They have to have sufficient food, correct? So in this case, you can see, but there is again intentionality. I knew that in some cases I needed to take some distractions, and I tell you the truth, I had zero. I mean, you look at the raw file. This is the raw file, right?
Mhm.
I knew already that I had to take some distractions. So I don't think that have anything to do with cheating or anything like that. This is the way I intended. I want
Right. Well, yeah, you got to make yourself happy with what your intent is. I mean, obviously, like in a photo contest, they'd say, "Oh, you can't erase anything. Everything's got to be in the shot." And now somebody else might look at this image and say, "Well, I would leave some of those elements in if my intent is to show that the whole environment that they're in when they're feeding, to say, yeah, they got all sorts of crap in their way when they're trying to
and
get
it's
food."
not like the raw image is ugly, in my opinion, but
Right.
No.
if you want to put emphasis, correct? Remember,
Right. So you as the creator
exactly.
you're the one that has the right to. You're the one picking the intent of the image, and you do what you need to do.
Exactly. And I not where I draw the line is when you add, if I want another hummingbird fighting this one. No, that I don't do. Correct. But removing distractions, the occasional distraction like this, obviously I prefer that all my images are like this, correct? Or like this. But they are not going to be.
No,
So,
no.
but I think this better represent that bird, correct? In type of and as an image, remember this is a graphical design thing, correct? I think for me, removing those distractions make this image more powerful. That's me, correct?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So anyway, how much editing is required? As much as you are comfortable with. And for me, I'm perfectly comfortable with what I did here, correct?
Oh, very, very often, even before I take the picture, I know what I'm going to remove.
Exactly.
If you know what I mean. I'm
Exactly.
already at a certain place, and I'm going to remove that, no matter what.
Exactly.
But it can be like a white twig on the background that destroys those. It's amazing how white, even if they are not on focus, a twig can be when you take a picture on the background. You see it as gray in real life, and then you take the picture, and it's like a white stripe.
Yes.
And
Now,
that I don't like.
Yeah.
one here, because I mean, and the other one is like we were talking all through the night, is anticipated, knowing, correct?
Yeah.
Things, sometimes you have a bush, correct, with a lot of
Yeah.
flowers, but there is a stand that
Oh yeah.
that is higher, and you know they are going to go one after the other, and so you wait until they get out of where there is no more obstructions, correct? So
Yeah, absolutely.
there is no anything removed from this image, correct? I just waited for him to go down. Now the objective for this is to show again the discussion now to bring it natural light, correct?
Yeah.
So natural light photography is my preference, correct? I love taking with natural light, right? And so this is natural light in the morning, correct? Very early in the morning. I have positioned my my flower beds or my flowers in the pots or on some feeders in places that are going to get a good light for either the morning or the afternoon. I prefer to photograph early in the morning because I'm a morning person. So you can see here.
What species of flower is that? You know?
I can give you the name, but it's actually a native here of Colorado.
I know because I have pictures of hummingbirds on those flowers
Exactly. I mean, and you will
in
see
Arizona.
you will see some photo that I took in the botanical garden. That's actually on the same flower, but this is
Yeah, yeah.
here at home, one of those that I planted. Okay,
Okay.
and so good directional natural light or diffuse light, which is the best. Correct. It's is ideal. Correct. There is nothing better. Right. This is what you see on this one here, and you can see, I mean, even the pollen in the beak of the bird. Huh?
Yep, up near the head.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now, flash photography used to be the only way to do uh, uh, hummingbird photography, correct? And actually, I still use it. I like it. It's a good challenge. It allows me to keep my photography skills up to par, correct? And you can either position the flashes near the camera, like I had done. They show here on the left side, correct? With some I don't know what how you call those, Roy, but
Light stands.
yes, it's a stand that coming out of your
Light stands.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you can put your flashes there. That has some advantages because you basically, if the birds move to another location, you can swivel your camera and take the photo, or you can actually bring the light closer to the plants. Actually, that's my preferred way when I'm using flash photography because that allows me to use low power flash. Correct. And you can see here a setup, so you recognize some of the type of flowers that you saw in the photos before, right? Magic arms. Thank you, Roy. Right? And that I took here. And this is actually on my deck, not where I have the other setups, correct? But here on my deck in the morning, I can take some of the photos, and certainly it's fantastic. Um, to
Is that arm screwed into the bottom of your tripod socket on your
yes,
camera?
well, in the bottom of the L bracket.
Bottom of the L
The
bracket.
camera is
Okay.
sustained by the camera is sustained by the bracket
Oh
on the
yeah.
foot
Yeah.
of the lens,
Okay.
correct? And the other one on the other side is on the side piece of the bracket.
Okay.
So, but actually, that's what I used last year. This year, I changed it, right? But I do prefer, and Roy, have you thinking about buying some more powerful flashes because this is the A10 Pro Photo, which is wonderful flash, but it's relatively short power, correct, compared with some of the bigger units. But certainly for me, it works well for my nature photography. But I like when you can bring the flash, the light close to your subject. Then you have a lot of freedom on how to manipulate. You can put a diffuser. Well, here, these two have diffusers. This has a Fresnel element that actually allows to concentrate the photos. These actually have a diffuser. It gives you a much nicer light that you can see. You saw some of the photos that are already taken. Okay. Now this year, actually, I have put my camera back into my Wimberley mount. Okay, because I have the Wimberley uh, um, 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 attachment for flash, right? And that one it works nicer because since the flashes are not attached to the camera, I can go vertical or horizontal without having a big rig that is moving with the camera as well, correct? So actually this year I prefer this setup, okay? With let's say two flashes that I have, but now they are mounted in the actual trap what's it called this the gimbal that are mounted in
Yeah.
the gimbal arm. Okay, so this is a Wemberley gimbal, and this is also a flash um, holding system that is also made by Wemberley. Okay? So I do like this one a lot. If I could go with Costa Rica with this, Luis, I would do it, but it's probably it's probably too heavy, correct?
Too heavy and too static.
Too static. So, but
No, but specific for it for hummingbird, it's good. It's great.
exactly. But you can move it around, correct? I can
Yeah,
go
yeah,
from a branch to a flower to this, and then my lights are going to follow that, correct?
that's true.
So again, the issue with fill in flat photography because it's own type of fill in, which is in high synchronization speed manual, which is what I prefer. Correct? Is actually balancing the natural light. Particularly, I can use sometimes when I with the flash close to the camera, I can use DTL, but when I put the flash very close to the subject, then I prefer to use manual, correct? Because typically I take a photo before the session or during the session if the lights are changing.
A
We
lot of pictures before, to be sure.
we know flash, correct, just to light the back, to get the right light in the background. Then I take a TTL reading, correct, and TTL closed spaces typically tend to blow out too much detail, and then I move it to manual and change my TTL, typically -2 stop, which in the case of Profoto is -2, correct, and that tends to balance. 1 to 2 tend to balance what I have. So I think that gives you some of the photos that I show you here that I've taken with flash, correct? But this is what I found. Roy, you probably uh, uh, you are expert on this type of thing, but for me, this is the formula that works sometimes. So you can see here the kind of photo, because I don't want my flashes to be evident, correct? So you can see this is done with this kind of mix flash, but in this case with the high synchronization speed, right? And it's done with a flash and natural light. So all the background is done with natural light. All the foreground is a combination, correct? But it's subtle. I want subtlety. And I actually go to the extreme in this case of removing one of the reflection from the eye because I want to see one reflection only, right? So you can see,
Sorry.
I mean, you guys know.
I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Gustavo uses a magnifying glass on his
Yeah.
monitor when he's editing his photos.
He must, yeah.
Yeah, but you can see. I mean, for me, these look natural, correct? It doesn't look.
Absolutely.
It doesn't look flashy to me. Huh? So that,
No pun intended.
exactly.
Flat.
Yeah, but that's the kind of thing that how I use these mixed light condition, and sometimes the mixed light condition create some wonderful images, correct? Because sometimes that light background and that you can control the ratio of lightness of the background with the foreground allows you to, because I agree with you, Jeff, I don't like when the background is too homogeneous, but you can control, even when your background is far away, typically you don't have one single tree behind or one single type of grass color behind, you can control that. And I'm going to show you one from the from the from the Denver Botanical, which I had to balance without flash, and the photo for me looks fantastic. So now we're going to move from techniques and try to encourage you guys to try to some of the species. So I'm going to start with Colorado, and then Luis is going to be talking about some of the other species from different areas of the United States. And so in Colorado, in my area, we have 4 hummingbirds, only 4. Right? We have the broad-tailed hummingbird, we have the black-winged hummingbird. Also, those species,
It's a bit of noise.
yes, but most of the species actually breed here in Colorado. Correct, the top 2. The other 2, the calliope and the rufous hummingbirds, which are the 2 on my prep, they are basically migratory. They migrate and they pass through Colorado, correct? So they are not here all the time. I mean, here in my house, it's only the broad-tailed hummingbird that actually is a resident nesting hummingbird. So this is the actual map of distribution, and you can see with the different colors. This is actually from Cornell Lab of Photography. They have wonderful map for some of the North American birds, right? That tells you where they are going to be. Very specifically, this is coming from records that are collected through eBird. That could be almost at the neighborhood level, correct? So Jeff, in your area, if you want to see where your hummingbirds are, I can zoom in your area for the ruby trotted. I can tell you exactly which areas are better through eBird, so you can investigate in eBird. But the Cornell Lab of Ornithology had done these wonderful maps. So you can see here that the blood-tailed hummingbirds actually go all the way from southern Mexico and Guatemala, and then he goes all the way up to into Idaho, Wyoming, and then of course here in Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico. That's where they actually do some breeding. There are some local populations in Mexico that basically do a migration as well, but it's an altitude migration. Okay? All these birds from these genera, they tend to like to have relatively high latitude or altitude. Correct. So the black chin hummingbird, which is the other one, which is actually very genetically related to the ruby throated, which you have in the East Coast. Correct. This is the West Coast. That's actually has similar migratory patterns. You go from Mexico all the way here to Canada, okay? But actually this is the one that is a little bit less frequent, certainly in my area, but also be here in Colorado. Now, so this is the male broad-tailed hummingbirds, as Luis knows, getting the colors of the gorgets,
Yeah.
colors of the plumage, is very much related to the angle of incidence of the light with regard to the gorget. Certainly for those species that use the gorget in display sort of form. So you can see these gorgets from these male uh, tailed hummingbirds is almost pitch black when they are not heading, they're not looking in your direction. So finding a good photo where it's also revealing the colors of the gorget can be trouble.
Yeah.
Now you here I left a slide with no photo because although this is in my area, I don't see in my house that male black cheek hummingbirds. I'm sure they are because I have seen some females and I show you a little bit of those. But with the ratio of males and females and immature, I haven't catch multiple times. I think I have taken a photo, and when I look at detail in another photo, it turned to be one of the broad-tailed hummingbirds, right? But actually, that's one of the reasons, Jeff, why I have been going into that botanical garden, because this is only about uh, 20 miles away from my house, and they are closer to the front range of the Colorado Rockies, and they do get quite a bit of black chin hummingbirds. So they are very specific sometimes, even within within a given area where you're going to find one species or the other.
Okay.
The other two are these migrating, the calliope, which is the smallest of the bird in North America and the smallest hummingbird of North America, and then the rufous hummingbird, which are these migrate. These are the ones that migrate basically following the flowers. They start in southern Mexico, and they migrate first through during the spring. Basically, they take a route through the coast into California, Oregon, all the way. In the case of the rufous, they go all the way up to Canada and Alaska, and they coming back. They following the flowering plants on the Pacific side, but then during the summer migration, and this is when I see them, after they have bred in the north, they come back and they go through following the flowers at the high altitude on the Rockies, the mountain flowers, correct? And that's why they come through the Rockies on the fall migration. And that's where I get a lot of hummingbirds. So I have hummingbirds starting here in April, but my hummingbird season basically is when I get all the migrants. Okay? Because then I have a whole hummingbird. Sometimes I have to put fill the feeders twice a week. Correct? And that typically happens. The peak migration here in Colorado for my area is around the later part of July and up to the mid of August. Then you can see these are the male calliope, which is one of the most beautiful. When they are displaying in their breeding territory, they will erect all those gorget feathers, and they're absolutely stunning. Or the rufous, which is my favorite,
Yeah.
although is which is actually the only other hummingbirds in the United States that is actually in the decline, but we do see them quite a lot here in Colorado, right? But compared with the other ones, which are in good standing with regard to big concern, this is near threatened because the numbers are coming down. We don't know why they are coming down, but these are incredibly beautiful birds.
Yeah.
Now, identifying the females, that is a challenge, okay? Because you can see all the females in general have more cryptic colors, and some of these, which are related because they are for the same, they are almost identical. So you really need to have a keen eye and sometimes be able to photograph certain characteristics in order to know which is the type of hummingbird that you have, right? So you can see here, it's almost like the tail feathers that you can actually identify them. And sometimes you can only identify them if you actually catch them, right? But I see my eye have become, and I take sufficient photos that I almost rarely misidentify them, but you can have a lot of misidentification. And not
Absolutely.
only and not only you can have problem with that, but you can also have problem with the immatures, right? Males and females. So this is a nightmare, but it adds to the joy of trying to work your bird photography, right? Because look at the so adults and juvenile, right? You have to differentiate between this and this of the four species, right? Now the Rufos are a little bit easier, but the other ones are a nightmare.
Isn't the black chin slightly bigger?
The black chick is slightly bigger, and
It's
the
more elegant, I have the impression.
well, it's the least favorite of mine. But the calliope is actually this very very small. So sometimes the size give it away,
Yeah.
but you have to look very careful because if you basically you change your position with regard to the flowers, you lose perspective of what is bigger, what is smaller.
Yeah,
Correct.
sure.
So it can be tricky, but I mean that's why you study, right? You
Mm.
prepare. So here, this is the challenge. Can you identify the species? Right? I mean, you can see this is difficult, right? And these are birds that I'm photographing only 10 feet away from where I am.
Is it right, a calliope?
Neither one is a calliope. These
Neither
are,
one is a calliope. No, I'm out of this one.
yeah, this is a Rufus, and actually these little speck here help you because they sometimes have some of the gorget colors, even the females or the immature, and this is
Is it a no?
this is a broad tail because the amount of rufous color in the tail is one of the is one
Oh,
of
there.
the,
Yeah.
so it's very difficult. But
It is. It is.
now there are excellent books, correct? This is one that I recommend for the all the hummingbirds in here in North America, including some of the ones that you photograph, correct? But they have detailed photos of the tail, correct? These are from banded um, birds. Sometimes you get they spread their tails and you get a full photo of the tails, and then you know, oh, I know for sure which one it is. But you can see here uh, how the counting or knowing the coloration of the different uh, these are called retreats, which are the tail feathers, knowing which one is the
Hmm.
color in R1 or R5 or 2, it helps you to identify them. Now on the rufous, you can see if uh, adult male rufous or adult female rufous have a lot more rufous than the adult female, the adult female broadtail, correct? So it's looking for this type of detail that help you to
Yeah.
identify. So I'm going to finish this portion by showing some photos of some of my favorite from 2025, and then I'm going to hand it up to Luis to go and show you some
Hmm.
photos from other parts. Right. So this is one of my best photos of the broad tail perch position under the ponderosa tree. In this case, without the flash, but I was able to get a softer light and a little bit of an incident light just dropping onto this bird. So I managed to get, and you can see all the detail here on the gorget, this kind of uh, 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 texture that you have in all the feathers. So I do like this one from this year crop. This is a broadtail flying, right? And then you can still see some of the gorget colors. And by the way, these broadtail hummingbirds and these you capture here, you see these make a specific sound, correct? Because uh, the one of the flying feather, the topmost, I think this is number 10 flying feather, is split. And basically that little split at the end of the feather create a special sound, which is a territorial sound that only the males have, correct? And this is the only species here that create a sound. So you use your eBird sound recognition, it recognizes that sound. And I mean, what you hear once, they don't do the normal buzzing noise they do as that all hummingbirds do, but this has this high pitched whistle because they create that whistle sound with that. Basically, it's like a reed, correct? A split reed, and you can see here in I think this is the P10 on the primary flying feathers. So this one I like because of the posture. You can see sometimes if they find something nearby where they can stand where they feed, they take the flower. So I like the posture on this one. Again, this is one of those with the high sync flash, right?
Okay.
So this is another one of the Rufous hummingbird here on these flowers. You see, I didn't remove any of the background flowers because I like the shape of the of the flowers, and he just managed to be in between the other flowers. Again, another one of those standing. And locally, this flower has that little bend, so I love when they will sit there. Right? You saw some of those photos before. Uh, again, this is one of those. I do like the flying, and you can see the wing position that I prefer. And when I see the whole bird, right? I like the texture here on the flowers as well. When you see it in full resolution, I mean, you can see every crease on the spent flowers, right? As well as all the detailed feathers on this broadtail female. I like this one here where he's standing in one leg when drinking from the flower. And this one actually I took unbelievably today, right? So you can see you're seeing some of my latest work even from this morning, right? You can see here clearly one of those photos where they splay the entire back feathers, right? So this is definitely a Rufous female or immature, right? But I like the pose. Sometimes you don't get those nice poses, right?
No, it's a good one.
Yeah. So again, that's why you need a high speed, correct? This is a 1/8000 of a second. I mean, the autofocus can you have to let the focus and the speed of the camera work together, correct? And this is one that I took in a botanical garden, Jeff. Correct. So you even in the botanical garden can get the photos of I didn't show that. Okay, I deleted a couple of photos, but it doesn't matter. So anyway, so this one is in the garden. The background was more illuminated. I didn't use the flash, but with the dynamic range that I have, I was able to bring in some of the color and the exposure in the foreground, and it created a wonderful background to my taste. Correct, with all the different out of focus flowers in the background with the different colors.
Yeah, well, that's what's nice about when you go to a botanical gardens environment is they have a lot of mixtures of different shapes and colored flowers and plants and stuff all around, so that your background, isn't like necessarily just a light green or a combination of light green and dark green, a little bit of shadows in it or whatever, you get those swatches of colors from the other flowers that are in there, and it adds a lot to the image, I think.
Maybe in one other show, we showed this photo, the raw and the final photo, because I didn't remove anything, correct? But the editing of the photo, I mean, it's again talking about that issue of editing. You had to edit the photos. I took the photos knowing that the background was a lot stronger than the foreground, correct? But I could see that there was enough light on the foreground that I could able, with the latitude that we have, with the dynamic range that we have, to bring everything into balance. Right? It's all about balance, correct? Either to flash or to your editing skills. But there is no other way to do this without editing, correct? That's another BS. So anyway, this is what you have for me. Now we're going to get into some more exotic birds, some from here from the US. So Luis, I'm going to move them along. You tell me when you want, when I go to
just carry on.
Yeah. And I put some on the maps.
Yeah. So what's the name of these species again? I don't remember. Violet crowned, is it?
Violet crown.
Yeah, violet crowned hummingbird. Well, it has a very restricted range in the US, as you can see. There are a few specks of on the distribution map that come, right there, that come up to Arizona. So last year, I went to the Patton Center for Hummingbirds, which is a known eBird spot, known for these species. And that's, well, let's see, it's southeast of Tucson, between Tucson and Sierra Vista, kind of.
Yeah.
Very close to the border.
Tucson is about here.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. But anyway, this place is a known place, so we went there, saw a few species of hummingbirds, but I was specifically looking for this one, and he showed up.
Beautiful.
Is next to a feeder, so there is a feeder to his, if you look to the picture, to his right. But he perched, and every time I see hummingbirds, I don't have enough light like Gustavo seems to have at this setting. So this is taken at the shade.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I waited with this friend of mine for a while something to show up, and then to my surprise, I saw something perched next to the feeder, and then it disappeared. And as you guys know, with hummingbirds, this is I think it's a young male. He was actually kind of changing plumage, because he's not completely, let's say, I don't know if they changed their plumage in May, because the picture was taken May of last year.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had to wait until he came back, and he perched right at more or less at the same spot at the shade of a tree. So he stayed there for a few minutes. He tolerated me. I approached a little bit to take the picture, but it was the only time I saw this species. He's kind of isolated from the background because he wasn't on this twig and the rest of the trees. It was difficult to find a good angle because to the left it was quite open. You see the whites there.
No, beautiful, beautiful. I love it.
So now we move to.
Because the Rivolis.
That's the Rivolis, yeah. It was called the Magnificent. No, yeah, yes. It was split from a species you'll see later from Costa Rica. So this is a Rivolis, and I sent this picture earlier on also to a photo review. I'm just going to go through. Well, this picture is taken with very, very slow shutter speed. Let's see if I can find it here, just for the record. This was after sunset. Wow. So the idea of taking pictures of hummingbirds flying with high shutter speeds, you can just forget about it. I'm just trying to, the computer is not helping. Looking to the shutter speed on this one is 320th.
Yeah.
And there is a feeder to his left.
Yeah.
So he was showing up from time to time and then hovering.
Waiting for a return.
Waiting for, there was a hummingbird attacking him all the time.
Yeah. But it's beautiful. I mean, this is but these are all birds that basically are in the United States, but only like in that Arizona, New Mexico area, very restricted. Correct? They are the age of the range, and they do migrate either altitudinal or longitudinal. Correct? And they get this is just few uh, uh, few kilometers into that.
Yeah. And this picture was taken on the same day under the same conditions. This is a broad-billed hummingbird, and the flower I found out it's a salvia. It's a species of salvia.
Okay,
and then there are several species of those. You can see also the distribution. It goes down into Mexico, and then it just has let's say a slightly better distribution in Arizona, but still very restrictive range. It looks a lot like the white, is it called the white-eyed hummingbird? If you see the white, but this is an immature male, I think. It can trick a lot of birders when you see this white stripe behind the eye. They think, oh, it might be the other species, but it's not. The other species is a lot rarer. The other species I didn't see. And here you have the wings, like Gustavo mentioned earlier on. And I cannot, which one you guys like the best?
Exactly.
It's all relative. The shutter speed on these must be similar. Let me just have a look. Yeah, 320th. I didn't change anything. ISO 3600. And this was with the 600 PF.
Yes.
And there's hardly any crop. But I was chasing these guys as to get an isolated background as much as I could.
Beautiful.
Now let's go to the next one. This is a Anas hummingbird.
This is more of a North America.
Yes.
Bird, right. It goes all the way up to Canada, right?
Yeah, resident.
Yes, exactly.
Resident.
And actually, all our friends in California here, they probably have this in the backyard. I know. I almost contacted Greg Wilson because he has the most beautiful Anna's hummingbird photos.
Absolutely. And if you look at the distribution, they are, and I've seen them in California. The first time I was in the US years ago, and they don't really migrate that much, I think. Yeah. No. So surely in America, a lot of people have good.
The purple color is resident all year around.
Yeah. But if you look where Arizona is, there are not that many in Arizona. So I was quite, well, not that many relatively. I didn't know they lived in Arizona as well. And this is also taken at the shade. I'm never lucky with the shots like Gustavo. It's in the shade of a tree. And the speed on this particular picture is also very low. It's 1/400th of a second.
Yeah, and this bird was molting probably, correct?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the different combinations of colors on the body are like interesting.
I had no idea what it was at first, and then by eliminating, but looking at the size of the gorgets, I thought it can only be an Allen's.
Yeah, in the United States is easy, correct? It's only like 15 birds.
Exactly. We move to just for a few pictures to the Caribbean. I've sent a few before as well. This is that stretching exercise that Gustavo was mentioning. This picture is taken in the island of St. Martin. It's an Antillean crested hummingbird. And as Jeff was mentioning earlier, I think I only saw males of this species. And they are resident. But maybe at least I only took pictures of males, and maybe because they are territorial and I saw them.
Exactly.
Could be. They were. I could hear them flying and fighting with each other. That's probably the reason why I only saw males.
Beautiful. But you can see they are all from Puerto Rico here, right through the Lesser Antilles, all the way to I think this is Grenada.
Yeah.
So you can see them all. These are species of the lesser Antilles.
Yes. And here I have plenty of light, but still the speed is not that high, 640th.
Yeah. Well, it's a perch bird, so
Exactly.
you don't need that.
No, and I was actually quite close to it because I think I took this with a 500 PF. Yeah, it was a 500 PF, and he liked that perch a lot. So I could actually wait for a good pose. And this worked out really nicely. Can go to the next one. This is a green-breasted carib. Green-throated carib.
Yes.
Yeah, also a distribution very similar to the other one from Puerto Rico all the way down to the bigger and lesser Antilles.
Exactly. This is Granada, and
Yeah.
here.
This particular hummingbird, I took the picture not in St. Martin, but to the adjacent islands to the north in Anguilla. Actually, it's a British territory.
Beautiful.
And it was just perched. This one was an easy one. It was also perched. And a lot of sun.
Of the same species.
Yes, this is the same species. This is back in St. Martin. This was actually the first time I saw the species. And I only saw it briefly. He was looking for, he was feeding on those flowers. Just behind, this is by a lodge by the sea. There were people laid on stretchers by the sea, just 10 meters to the right. And I saw this thing moving around, and I quickly grabbed my 500 PF and went after it. And this is the only picture I could take.
Beautiful.
There's quite a curve to the beak on that one.
You realize better on this picture how curved the bill is.
And that typically is because in their home range there is a flower that is specifically co-evolved to match that particular bee. They may take nectar from other common plants, particularly introduced plants, correct? But these co-evolve to be feeding on a specific plant.
Yeah. In fact, I'm not sure which lens I use on this one because I'm looking to the details. I took at f8, 2000ths of a second, ISO 4000. But the millimeters, it says 700. Yeah, but I don't have a 700 mil.
There must be some converter or something.
I must have had a teleconverter, but to get to 700, it must be a zoom.
It's that probably the case. Now we move to Costa Rica, where you have spent a lot of time photographing hummingbirds.
Yes, let's see. So this is the species that was split from the Rivolis hummingbird in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
This is now called. I think it used to be called the Magnificent, and then it was split in two species. The one you have in Arizona and Mexico, and I think even further south, and then this specific one only from the mountains of Costa Rica and a little bit of Panama. That's
a gorgeous bird.
Yeah, and this and this set of pictures. I'm actually inside of a very known lodge that I visit. There is a restaurant. I never stayed in the lodge, let's say in the rooms, but I always stop on my way to have something to eat or to take a few pictures. And it was raining. This was in 2022, November. I had a lot of rain on those, I think, 2 weeks I was there.
Locally, the hummingbirds like bathing in the rain.
Yeah, they don't really care. So and the speed is 250th of a second, ISO 800. And
I think they can outfly the raindrops, right?
Yeah.
So
I took pictures with a higher speed, and then I slowed down the shutter speed to try to get the raindrops. But I don't know if you guys like to see stripes or nothing. I don't know.
I like it.
No, I like to see this. I like to see the streaks of it.
Streaks of it. Yeah.
This is a close up of one of your photos, or you can see they are beautiful.
Yeah. And they were still. They were bathing there. That was quite nice to see them quiet for a change. That's another one. Yeah.
Here it looks more like the one in the United States, correct?
Absolutely.
So this is actually my favorite, Jeff. It's somewhat related, but it's a different species. That
Yes.
fiery hummingbird, fiery totter hummingbird.
Yes.
I mean, you cannot have more colors than this one.
Yeah, and it's and I send you this picture because it's difficult to get those orange colors, those fiery colors. Very often, depending how they actually look quite dark or even black. And then they look straight at you, and then you see the reason why they're called the fiery throated. But it's not always easy to see the fiery throated. This is a male, but it's a species that's taken from the same lodge, different day, I think, this one, but also at high altitudes. It's a mountain species in Costa Rica. You really have to go up high, above 2,000 meters, to see these species. But if you are at the right altitude and you have like plants, or in this case, a feeding station, then they are everywhere.
Yeah, beautiful.
You got to walk up. You got to walk across those rope bridges.
No, not at all. Oh no, this is great for you, Jeff. You just park your car and walk 10 meters.
Okay.
and have a meal.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's good food, and there is a forest there. You can go for a walk if you want, alone or with a guide.
Yeah, this is another one with a very specialized beak, correct?
Yes, this is a green fronted lensbill. This one I only found out after I sent you the picture that this was missing the green fronted. It's a female.
Okay.
I saw two of them. They are altitudes. They don't live as high as the two species before. This is more of an intermediate altitude species. I think here we are at 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet of elevation, I think.
Although it's a bird that you can see here on the distribution map that is in Costa Rica, but it's basically one from the Andes, correct? Because it goes from the Venezuelan Andes all the way to Bolivia.
Yeah.
So it likes mountain range.
Yeah, and when you see these distribution maps, you have to really read what altitude they like to live, because you go to a mountain or you start going up by car, and you can easily go higher than the elevation range of some species. This is a species I actually only saw once in Costa Rica, because I was continuously either too low or too high. And so I went specifically with my wife to one lodge, spent one night there only to try to find this species, and we did find it. But it was even more difficult than I thought, because I knew from eBirds, okay, they are there, and they like these actually like to hunt insects, this specific species. And they like to hunt insects by rivers, next to rivers, which are flowing fast. So they kind of eat insects a bit like maybe a flycatcher even.
Wow.
But I was told by the guy at the reception that you can see them, but they only arrive after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I realized that they go to that. This perch is actually placed there specifically for you to take a picture of them. But they are never there during daytime, he said. He's always there to sleep. So I have no idea where they go during daytime. They just go to a stream and spend the whole day there.
No.
So I took only pictures at night. So that picture I showed you before is 1/250th of a second, ISO 22,800.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So this lens bill that have very specialized beak, and probably is because it's for insects, right? It's easy to catch insects with the tweezers that are straight.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is a snowcap. You see the distribution there is on the Caribbean slope of Honduras, from the top down, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama.
On the Atlantic side.
On the Atlantic side only.
Yeah.
So if you go to Costa Rica, Nicaragua and Honduras are a bit difficult more to access as a tourist. But if you go to Costa Rica or to Panama, you have to be on the Atlantic side. They go up the slopes as well. Again, this one was at the end of the day. I think the ISO is 8,000, and he was perching under one of those verbena bushes.
Exactly.
This is one of the few times I saw them nice nearby and perched and quiet. And for some reason, they go up the hills. The only few times I saw them in the lowlands, and the guides or the people that I talked to said, "Yeah, they showed up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then they disappear." And they go like, "Why do all the beautiful hummingbirds disappear after 5 o'clock in the morning?" It's yeah, but then they are breeding, and then they come here to get some food, and then they go up the mountain to do whatever. So it strikes me as
breakfast time. You have to be there by breakfast time.
By breakfast time, yeah, and then they disappear. But in this specific one place is in the northwest of Costa Rica, where they're kind of more reliable. So in the meantime, I've seen males and females. The females are completely green. I don't even have a good picture of a female. But you have to be at the right spot for these species. And if you are there in the northwest of Costa Rica, especially, then yeah, there are good places to see them.
And one of my favorite, and also has the peculiar distinction having the red color
Absolutely.
in the body, which are not common in hummingbirds. Correct?
No, but you blow the highlights on his forehead all the time.
All the time.
If you're not careful. Violet-headed hummingbird.
Big distribution here.
Yes, it's very strange. Caribbean side of Costa Rica, lowlands in Costa Rica species go up the hills as well to about 1,000 feet, and then but they have some habitat requirements. They surely like wet rainforest, which is what they have in Central America. And if you go towards the Andes, they are on the Amazon side of the Andes, so where it rains the most. But I suppose in the Andes, they have a lot of, many other hummingbird species that compete with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not so widely distributed as you would think.
Interesting is this is the Perijá Mountains in Venezuela, Colombia, and this the northern range, correct? Venezuela, and on this on the Caribbean and this on the Lake Maracaibo, which is quite what they call cloud forest type of environment. And the same here, but you can see they are not in the high altitude Andes in Venezuela or in Colombia. So they are in the fringes of the Andes here.
Yeah,
you described.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But you sometimes you look to a map and think all of Central and South America, it's all the same. It's all the same jungle, but it's not the case.
No.
They have specific needs, and with the climate changes from the past and in the future, their distribution increases or decreases. And what you see now is a snapshot of the distribution now. And if it would get colder, they would probably connect, but that's the way the nature works.
Well, and also this is the issue where for instance, places like here, correct, in the northern range of Venezuela, completely disconnected from either Perijá. These are the birds that sometimes, after further study, become endemic and separated, correct?
Absolutely, yeah, because they've been isolated for such a long time.
They do not coexist, and they cannot breed with each other, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. So this is again a near endemic to Costa Rica, a black-bellied hummingbird. Not an easy bird to see. You again have to go to specific intermediate altitudes to see these species. You don't see these species together with the first two, with the fiery-throated. If you look to the range, you think, oh, a mountain. So go to the same place, and I see all the 4 different species, but I've never seen them together.
Exactly.
These species,
like the
orange is pretty on that.
Yeah. I don't remember if Gustavo has another picture of this bird perched, but this is also an intermediate species. This bird, yeah, that one. Is perched. It's actually the only picture I have with the D 750.
Yeah, that's a beautiful bird.
Yeah, and this picture I took really close by with the 70 to 200 zoom.
Wow.
Shorter bill on that one too.
This is again a male. I took this picture like just a few yards next to where I took the lens bill, but with more light.
Now we're talking here one of my favorites. These are completely bizarre, Jeff.
Yeah. One of the coquettes. Yeah, this is a black crested coquette.
Bad hair day.
Yeah. Well, I don't know exactly what the ecological needs are of these species in further up in Mexico, but in Costa Rica, you're again restricted to a intermediate elevation. You need to go higher than, say, 800 meters or 600 feet of elevation to see these species. You will not see these species by the sea, but it looks like in Honduras and in Belize you could, but I've never been to those places. But you need to go to the mountains of, let's say, north of San Jose, to the north of Costa Rica, but not too high. If you go further than, say, maybe 2,000 feet, you don't see them.
And there is about this bird group, correct, called the coquettes. There are about, which are all crazy hairdos like this one, correct? They are all
absolutely.
They in Costa Rica there are like 3 species, and there is only like 6 species of those. Each one is more beautiful than the other one.
Yeah, so one of the 3 that you mentioned for Costa Rica is extremely rare.
Yes.
So let's count 2 for Costa Rica with 1 which is irregular, but it does show up in Costa Rica from time to time from Panama and I think Colombia.
Yeah.
And here you can see the shape of the flowers, in this one, because it's like I'm trying to figure out, in the previous picture, how that flower is. It's almost like laying flat or whatever. It was kind of.
It looked like long stands.
Yeah, they do.
A couple of years ago, my local garden center have them, but they did not survive the winter. Now that I made that bedding area, I actually went to the garden center, tried to get some of these because I want to plant them, correct?
Yeah.
And they didn't have them. I said, you're not going to have them this late in the season. But I found a seller that sell it online. So but they don't transport them until September. So the first week of September, Luis, I'm going to get some of these. This is Verbena stricta, because they are a magnet for hummingbird. And they got the beauty, Jeff, as you can imagine, because it's like once it goes stand with the flowers move along. So right, this entire thing get flowers, but the flowers actually move along that long piece, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So they're ideal for photography.
Absolutely, but the only drawback of that, well, they attract the hummingbirds, and they follow. They go from stem to stem and go from flower to flower.
Oh yeah, crazy.
But to get them isolated with a kind of nice enough background, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Because they go and they are continuously in front or behind, and you go crazy trying to get him a bit isolated.
So when I get them in September, I show you how I'm going to plant them.
Yeah, that's true. But what you can do on a more wild set is that you try to anticipate where they go next. Okay, first you take a photograph of the species. Once you have done that, then you can get more relaxed, and then you try to go anticipate where they go. I say, okay, that flower is nicely isolated. It looks like it's going that way, and you pre-focus there. And if it doesn't go there, then you try again. So you go for the best picture possible after you've taken 1 or 2 good enough of the species.
So anyway, beautiful. I mean, look at this is the same species. Now look at in close up here, Jeff.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
It's crazy. Yeah, yeah.
And not only that, Luis doesn't have them, but I have seen them in documentaries and in books. Some of these feathers, when they are displaying, they erect them as well, correct?
Yeah.
They really get to be absolutely crazy. So they are, this is when they are flat, correct? But you can see even the body, all these special feathers in the body, sometimes they get puffed, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's neat.
A brown violet here.
Yes.
So I saw this species not a lot. This is by far the best picture I have, but also again in the dark, and it was perched nicely. But again, a species that you need to go to intermediate elevations. You cannot anticipate seeing them at sea level, along the range of the Andes and a bit in the Guianas and Venezuela.
Yeah, and that's what I tell you. The chances, Luis, that this is the same species here in Brazil, in the south.
Oh, there, yeah.
I mean, the Atlantic coast of Brazil.
It's quite remote. Yeah.
It's quite remote, correct? So
Yeah.
these are birds that look similar, but probably are not the same species.
No. Let's carry on.
Another
Yeah. Another near endemic. If you see on the distribution map, only comes to Costa Rica a little bit in the southwest. It's more of a species from Panama, but not from the Atlantic coast, at least not in Costa Rica. It's from the other side.
Pacific.
Yeah, it's an endemic from that area. A very beautiful bird. There are, I think, 2 or 3 that look slightly a little bit like this one, and yeah, you see the colors again, the same type of verbena, and you see how they sometimes hide in between.
Snow-capped version and a snow-bellied
Exactly.
version.
Exactly. But you see, if they are perched in the middle of those twigs, it sometimes is tough to get them isolated.
Well, Jeff is an expert, correct? You have to put yourself on the camera through a little hole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Through a little hole. Oh my God. Yeah. It's like really fun.
Okay, this species changed name again. This is the striped-throated hermit. Yeah, it's a very small hermit species. This one is more widely distributed, lowland species. This one you could see, readily everywhere in the lowlands of Costa Rica and other countries there. But again, they are never quiet. And these, I've seen these perched just a few times. I don't know, but this species creates leks. If they are calling from say a communal area, and the males are
displaying and competing,
displaying at that moment in a lek.
Yes,
you would probably not find a lek, but if you are with a guide and they are calling at that moment in a lek, then you might see them. I saw that only once, and I think it was in November that there was a lek.
Hermits are different from other hummingbirds. They and they tend to favor. They can go and get feeders. Typically, don't like the feeder. They can go to other plants, but they are very specific to a particular group of plants.
Yes, these ones
very thin tail too.
Very thin and long. Yeah.
Very thin tail.
Yeah, the green hermit does come to feeders. This one, I don't remember. I've seen it in a feeder before. I don't think so.
Yeah. Now not the species, but there is a species back in Venezuela, a hermit that is dear to me because it called limpia casa, which is cleaning house, and it was very common in many places in South America, in Caracas, because they come and collect the spider web, and that's why they call limpia casa, because they come and collect either insect or the spider web to make the nest. So it brings me back to my childhood, because when you go to the beach, or you go to the beach houses, actually you sleep in the corridors. You don't sleep inside the house because it's fresher, and you sleep in a hammock. So you remember as a child sleeping in a hammock and waking in the morning and seeing those little birds collecting the spider web from on the back. And it's bringing enormous, beautiful memories of my childhood.
Okay, very good. So this is violet saberwing,
Yeah.
related to the previous one, but this is more of again intermediate altitude species. This was taken also completely in the dark. These species like to guard feeders as if they belong to them, and they chase away many other species, especially the species that you want to photograph. And then these fellows, which are quite big, come along and chase them all away, and you have to wait again for 20 minutes. You like them at first when you first get to Costa Rica. Oh, they're very nice, and then you realize they are actually terrorizing everything else.
They're bullies.
They are bullies, and then you really don't like to see them anymore after a while. This is again a violet-headed. Was it not? No.
A violet-headed hummingbird, yes.
Yeah. But I think I had this species before that we showed before.
Okay, maybe I repeat it again, but
It doesn't matter.
you sent me a lot of pictures.
I know I sent a lot
I had to do a lot of homework organizing stuff, and
no, it's all good. But you see on this picture to the right how that plant looks like.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be challenging to isolate the bird. That's why I sent that one.
I like that one because you see more of that's more of an environmental shot, and a hummingbird happens to be in it.
Yeah. So you can decide to crop it or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about a bully. This is the bully of all the hummingbirds.
Yeah, and this is also one of the bullies. Yeah, although it's a nice looking one.
Yeah.
This is white-necked Jacobin. You see the distribution. This is a lowland species. You see this everywhere in the lowlands of Costa Rica, and I suppose in all of the Amazon area.
Yeah.
And this is sometimes you look to this distribution map and you wonder why are not the other species so widely distributed as this one. But this one is a 100% lowland species, very adaptable, goes readily to feeders and protect the feeders as if they belong to them.
Yeah.
And you see these are two males fighting for those flowers there.
It goes all the way here to Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, and you can see it covers Venezuela except the high Andes. Right? I never saw one of these when I was in Venezuela as a young person.
Okay.
No, despite they are super common in other places. Now, a couple of things on the photo. These flowers, Jeff, look like little dolphins. You can see.
Yeah, and it's just you look at the plant that it's growing out of, and you're like,
what the hell?
Just why are those flowers on that plant? It just doesn't. It's
yeah,
it's just the plant to me doesn't look like it's a flowering plant, and then you see those 3 flowers on it. It's kind of interesting.
And Luis, I'm going to tell you something. You may know this or you may not know, but I tell you, I learned that relatively recently, correct? About these white-necked Jacobin, because they are super aggressive. Everybody,
yes,
they are super. You can see they're here fighting. Actually, when you send me the other photo, I actually put this one in the fighting category. Right? I know how aggressive they are. Now, listen to this story. I'm sorry for all the natural history, but that's part of the thing, correct? That's why we like this. They are aggressive not only with other species, but they are aggressive themselves. So aggressive that they will defend also the females, correct? So when there is a female around, these guys will harass the females, correct? So what has happened, and they discovered that recently, is that some females actually develop, okay, and I mean the females cannot eat because these guys don't let them. They're trying to get after them, okay? So some females develop male colors, but they are females. They nest on everything. It's a type of disguise they use in order to be able to basically eat. Right? And this was just discovered through some detailed studies of the species, and that was not known. So here you're going to see a lot of apparent males, but a lot of those apparent males are actually females impersonating males because that's the only way they can survive.
Okay, life can get really complicated then under the
Exactly.
Jacobins.
So I don't know if you knew about that, but that's
No,
a discovery. And actually, we have two more species because, and I will explain why I put it at the end.
Yeah, very good. This is again another high altitude species. Again, only Costa Rica and Panama. Same plant as you see. This is a male scintillant hummingbird, and I've only seen this species a couple of times. It looks widespread in the mountains, but again, you have to go not too high, not too low, and check especially eBird's reports, because a lot of people that use eBird goes to Costa Rica, and the reports are very reliable when it comes to these species, because if they are common in a garden, they will probably stay there all year round, so you can visit those places.
Yeah,
and eventually find them.
And that is related to this one. But
yes.
Not the same.
No. This is a volcano hummingbird. There is a male on the top left. You can see the gorget, which is kind of blue. It's a very small range. You see, again, this is only the highest peaks of Costa Rica and western Panama. The two isolated populations further north, they have a gorget of a different color. I think is more reddish. I've never seen that variety, and this is more in towards central Costa Rica. This is taken at the same place where I showed the first two, the Talamanca hummingbirds and the fiery-throated. So those three species really high altitude, and these were waiting for the fiery-throated to leave the feeder so they could approach the feeder. And the one on the bottom right had enough to drink, I think.
Yeah. And you can see how beautiful this is, Jeff.
Yes. So this is one perched. It's not a male. It's a female or an immature. But he was so nicely perched among those lavender flowers that I couldn't resist taking a picture there.
Yeah. And the reason, Luis, that I put these two at the end, okay, is because these two birds are in the same genera that we have the migrating birds here in North America.
Absolutely. It looks like your immatures there.
Exactly. So they are all related. And so you can see the high altitude birds of Costa Rica and on the Andes, but in the case of Central America, which is
yes,
those are the ones that has already the ability to tolerate cold weather, correct? So they could migrate.
Yes.
And they do migrate within Costa Rica. That's part of the problem with these two species for the people that look for them, because I read, you see, you make me read a lot about these species, okay? So the case of the volcanoes, correct? They go to high altitude, the males and the females, because these guys like to nest at high altitude around the volcanoes, correct? Yep. But then the males, after they copulate, they go down into the lower altitude, correct? So there's a lot of altitude migration that happened seasonally, related with breeding. So they were already preconditioned to migrate, but they evolved into migrating into a longer range, all the way, in this case, to Alaska. So they are all from the same group. So out of that group, that genera, only two of that genera, the two that you show here, are in Central America, while the other species of that genera, they are all these migratory birds between high altitude, low altitude in Mexico, but also all the way into latitude, into North America, and all the way into Alaska and Canada.
Yeah.
So this is the beauty about this. All this is interrelated, correct? So anyway, So that's what we have. And Luis, so it just happened that when you were sending me this picture, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the recent documentary about hummingbirds, correct? And if you have a VPN, probably you can watch it because it's by PBS here in North America. It was actually broadcast only a couple of weeks ago. So those of us that either have VPN or live in North America can watch. And you can see this is the hummingbird effect have on the neighbor in Costa Rica. So it's a documentary about Costa Rica birds.
Mm-hmm.
I already knew about this Jacobin, but they described this issue about the Jacobins
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
documentary as well. Okay? So if you
Nice.
guys here can watch it, and Luis, you may try to see if you can watch this an hour-long documentary about Costa Rica hummingbirds and how
I'll
they
have a look.
yes. So you can see some of your friends. So some reference books, right? And again, this is by a very renowned uh, bird photographer, Glenn Bartwell, correct?
Canadian.
Yeah. And then that for North American specific, very detailed book of hummingbirds by Sherry Williamson, correct? That's the one that I use when I want to get into the details of identification. Okay. So reference websites, I subscribe to Birds of the World, correct? It's unfortunately you have a lot more detail that you get in your regular eBird. Say you are into birding, uh, that is something that I recommend. And if you want to identify something, you can send it to me and I can try to look at it. So it shows you that there is 363 species on 112 genera. Right? Now, so there's a couple of reference apps that I have mentioned before. Actually, the Sibley Guide to the Birds of North America, for free, you can download this app that has all the hummingbirds. Okay? Because they decided to give you for free the hummingbirds, so to entice you to buy the actual whole reference app, which is wonderful. And then, of course, you can use the Berlin app either for sound or for submit a photo. So I recommended that to Randall. That when he take a photo, want to know what, and that's not only for hummingbird, but actually for all hummingbird related. So we finished the hummingbird long presentation, guys. I know this is not appealing to everybody, but this is what we have for this month as a feature presentation. So we're going to go now here briefly into our regular show, and then we will uh, go back to short discussion. Photo sharing. So the photo sharing is we were hummingbird. I think our friend Jim, aka Rian Nikon Lord, which I don't know, I haven't seen him, but a couple of weeks ago when I was putting the presentation, he sent me one of his hummingbird photos. Jim had become quite addicted to photograph around his feeder. So this is actually another species similar to the rufo, but it's a different species called the Allens. It's another California hummingbird that also migrate. Right? He has a lot more green in the background. This is probably a female or an immature. But beautiful capture here from Jim. And he told me, hey, I show you another type of bird. But it's another wonderful picture
It's
from
Big
Jim.
Bird. That one's Big Bird.
So let's talk a little bit about upcoming. Right? So actually, we are doing quite well, and hopefully we'll do better. And as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I like to have subjects in the pipeline, not only by me or Jeff, but on Luis, which is quite a avid contributor, and we do appreciate that, Luis. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
what it I do. You are a great photographer and also a great member of this community, and you bring us all the exotic birds here for all of us. Okay, but we have something in the already quite a bit topics on the pipeline. So we have astrophotography. Introduction. It will be a series, right? And I think uh, Terry, David, and Bob Rosario, working on that. We will debut that in September. All right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think I got a few text messages from David. He's up in the wilderness somewhere in the forest, and he says I can't get any shots because the weather is not participating. You know, rain, clouds. You know, you can't try out the gear. You know,
Yeah, well,
that's how it goes. You know,
he had time. Then this is a new one, Jeff, that have been added. So this is from Michael Dries, correct?
Michael Dries,
This
yeah.
a member of our community. I think Mr. Jeff recruited him after the wonderful image he showed of the puffins and birds in Newfoundland. I don't know, Luis, you saw that Gannett photo that he took, and so great
wonderful shots he took.
wonderful shots. So he has agreed to um, um, give us a presentation of Newfoundland. We don't. This is the temporary title that you gave. So we have him. We have a placeholder for him that will be on November 15. Then I got a couple of topics that I can, if we are short of in a week, or to encourage some photography on the fall about the elk rod, which I'm sure I will be going for a couple of days to Rocky Mountain National Park to photograph at one point later in September. And of course, fall photography, landscape, and see. So anybody that want to collaborate in those, please let Jeff and I know. And of course, I think Terry was talking about cooling photos. I think this is one of those that will be a short discussion, but we will try to bring several people here to discuss a little bit about how do we do that, calling, what software do we use, etc., etc. So we got quite a few things in the pipeline, which I like. Some of those are, this is our calendar. So we will have our general next general meeting is today, was August 16, and then in September we have September 6th for the image review and the general meeting that I mentioned with the astrophotography tutorials on September the 20th. Then we will have the October session, and is that October 18, we don't have yet anything pinned down on that. So we already have thumbnail in the making for that astrophotography series provided by Terry. This is a what they call deep space photography of the. So Luis, we may get you to do some other things like this, right? to do some photography of the Orion Nebula, correct? And so again, Terry, Robert, and Bob and David are working on that. That will be in September. And this is the new thumbnail. Yeah.
Yeah.
That from the let's see what title Mike.
Looks good.
Yeah. I mean, look at that photo. That's fantastic.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. He he really lucked out with everything he was able to see, and what he was able to get was really nice. Really nice.
Yeah. So again, finally here we have, before we get into the final discussions and winding down the show for today, is the next image review, September 6th, correct? Saturday, September 6th, which is 2 weeks away from now. Please do send your contributions. Start sending your contributions to Jeff. I don't know if Jeff already have any.
I got the only ones I got were from our friend Bob. I got 5.
All right.
So we got 5 images. So
we
guys, get going.
Exactly. Otherwise, you get a reminder here pretty soon from us, correct? And send it to selected image 1@gmail.com. Again, it's 28 on the long side or bigger, and we preferably send it as soon as possible so that he can arrange them and put them into order. Please include settings and a brief description of your photos in your email to Jeff. So with that, that's what we have for today. So let's go back to our panel, stop sharing, and have some final thoughts and discussions.
Well, I mean, first of all, thanks so much to yourself, Gustavo, and Luis for contributing so many majority of images and contextual information for the hummingbirds as a 2-part series. And I mean, I love hummingbirds. I get disappointed. I mean, I did try to have hangers and feeders and the right kinds of plants. You know, I had the feeder on a hook, and then below it I had the plants, you know, that they like to feed from. And unfortunately, you know, I live in a homeowners association, and I honestly, I didn't go and look at the rule book or whatever, but they must have a rule where you can't have bird feeders or something, because I don't think there's anybody in the community. There's like 600 homes in here, you know, different types of homes, duplexes, you know, townhomes, regular homes. And I have not seen any bird feeders anywhere. So it was like, okay, I put the stuff up that was supposed to work. But if you're the only one in a in such a big area, no one's going to show up, because there's just not enough food source from, you know, a few flowering plants that I put up with feeders. So I mean, I never saw one. I didn't have one show
We
up.
need to do a eBird search with you online to check on the localities.
Let's do it.
Yeah, there's probably none in my neighborhood, so that was a total waste of money and time.
You have that garden, that botanical garden.
Yeah, I mean, they have them there. Unfortunately, like we haven't gone there a lot this year because of the weather, a lot of rain, and they're building a new building in there, and basically right behind the area where they had the right types of flowers for the hummingbirds. So too much construction, too much noise. So we haven't really seen any. I mean, Bob gets some in his yard because he has the right plants in his yard, and people in his neighborhood do have bird feeders. So that's he has a better situation. But
we need to get Bob to get more so that he can start getting more photos as well.
Yeah. I mean, he has an opportunity to get them. I really don't. And it's just like I said, it's frustrating because I want to get the males with the nice red on them, on their throats, and it's always females. It's just
Okay.
We can do an eBird search with you, because there is all these local spots, and Luis knows that. I mean, they even, because ours are migratory, Jeff, they even give you like a frequency of which month is the peak, and there is so much information now that is unbelievable. That's what I know. That black chin that I tried to photograph, I need to go to that other botanical garden, because I my chances here, I actually, I don't know what happened, but I was going to show you. I think I have it, but I made in the, you know, getting one photo in and out. I may have taken out. I have confirmed photos of the female, because I have photographed the tails, and they have very distinctive tails. It's the only one that has no rufous colors in the tail, absolutely.
No.
And so I know I have photographed them, but I don't know. You know, rearranging things, you sometimes delete stuff. And Randall, you do have more species than we do have, because you have all these. You are in the migratory path. It's just that you need to. If you are interested in these kind of things, I'm sure in your house you will be able to photograph more species that I even have here.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I walked this bad boy last night. I've never seen so many deer in one place on one street. It was unreal. It was like 30 of them.
Problem, because he wants to chase the
Oh yeah, and he was. I was holding on for dear life. So, he's gotten up 3 times. He gets bored. He starts hearing my voice. So then he starts chewing the bedspread, or he'll come over to me and he'll start biting. So I give him a treat. He's happy, but then he wants more.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, they always want more.
Yeah.
But once again, you know, gentlemen, guys, I mean, really, really great what you did. I mean, I know how much effort it is to put that stuff together.
Yeah, that's Gustavo. I didn't do anything. I just sent pictures.
Everybody that joined us and the people that are going to pick up and watch this show tomorrow or in the following weeks.
On a month from now, this is good.
Please recognize the effort of these guys, the time that's spent to capture the images and the time that's spent to put together the presentation. I mean, it is not easy. It takes a lot of time. And so I applaud you guys for what you did. And I also want to thank our friend Ron Pollard for reaching out to me today. I had a wonderful conversation with him. I mean, I love that guy. He is extraordinary.
It's a genuine guy.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
Yeah.
You couldn't talk to a nicer guy. He represents Nikon well. I mean, he doesn't work for Nikon, but I mean, he would be a wonderful ambassador someday, I think, for Nikon, to be quite honest with you. And he is just willing to share so much with people, and he works so hard, and he does such a different variety of photography. I mean, doing PGA Tour events, corporate headshots, weddings, the shots we showed tonight of the with 45,000 plus people in a stadium for a religious event, religious celebration. And he is just very versatile in what he does and a true gentleman. And we're proud to say that he is kind enough to spend some time with us and share things that he does. And hopefully teaser out there, Sanjit, we're looking forward to you coming back and visiting us with some of your friends and some of the hornbills and things of that nature, and letting us know how things are going with the efforts to, as you showed a nice pitch the last time of the nesting. I don't want to say nesting boxes. They weren't boxes, but you know what I'm saying? The man-made nesting areas for the hornbills to attract them to breed more. And everything you did there was fantastic, and we hope to see more of that. And just thank and everybody else who contributed images to tonight's show. This is what it's all about, guys. This is what it's all about.
Yeah,
it's just been beautiful photos. I mean, it's
well, and you combine certainly in my case, my passion of photography with nature. These give you so much to your psyche, your well-being. Correct? You really. I'm sure I can speak for a lot of us here, but certainly when you are there behind the camera and you looking and try to get something, everything goes away, correct? All the trouble goes away. You can really, it's very good for your health too.
What's a bad day of photography is still better than anything you could do at home.
Exactly.
You get outside, you get some fresh air, you see something, you get some exercise, and if you don't see a lot of things, sometimes it gives you the opportunity maybe to scout some areas that you haven't gone to before and get ideas for future visits and things like that. So there's always something to keep your mind active. It's really important when you're our age that you keep your mind active and you do things. Just keep that brain working, man. Very, very important. Whether you do crossword puzzles or Sudoku or whatever you do, or photography, you got to do something to keep yourself going. And I think we got a great group of people, and we say that all the time, but I can't say it enough. And these guys on the panel make life very joyful for everybody here that comes on. It's really, really good. And
I like that. Yeah, donuts.
And I'm bringing a dozen donuts with you. Yeah.
So Moss, this is the secret. That's what you do when you visit with Jeff. He brings
he brings me a dozen donuts, and I do my Homer Simpson imitation. I go donut. But What do you think, guys? I think we should call it a night. Say our goodbyes. We went a little bit longer than we normally do, but that's fine. That's
Very
fine.
good.
So I'll say my good night now, and we'll see you guys on
2 weeks.
September 6th. And
Yes.
please send in your images, and we'll get that all set up and have another great image review. And then we get to prep for astrophotography a couple weeks after that, now this is coming from a guy who worked in aerospace for a good part of my career, and me and the stars, I have no, I worked with NASA and stuff like that, and you would think, oh, I'm a big astronomy geek, and I'm absolutely not.
But you do appreciate the photography, correct?
So I'll probably get a lot of hate mail from people I worked with over the years saying, "What do you mean you're not into astronomy?" So that's all right. Flood my inbox. Flood my inbox.
Very good.
Thank you, guys. I do appreciate
Thank you.
Thank
See
you
you
very
next
much,
time.
Gustavo. Good work. Thank you.
Great job.
Excellent.
Great job.
Excellent as always.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Yeah.
take care, guys. We're gonna hit.
And I do want to mention one more thing. I have all the gear I need. Right?
Oh,
And he bought 4 new cameras.
I don't believe it, Brad.
My shirt's really long.
Yeah.
See the last part? Said
Yeah.
no photographer ever.
Yeah.
I got all the gear
Excellent.
I need. Said no photographer ever.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So